Hey guys, welcome back to the Grand Melee. We just had a great little show match, a little bit of goof and a little bit of trolling going on over there.
Like I was saying with Ellie, Age of Empires, it's a game. We play it for fun, and it's hard to argue with those games being fun. We saw missionaries, we saw Celts eating TCs, and we saw an attempt at a Teuton Town Center drop.
Yeah. But we're about to get into the more serious side of the tournament, right? That was all in good fun. It was great that they had such great attitudes for it. But it is going to be time now to actually start talking about our first match in the semifinals, which is going to be amazing. First up, we are going to have Tato against Hera. And let's go ahead and take a look at Tato's wins from yesterday, just to kind of start this out, to kind of remember the power he was playing with.
Okay, so we obviously had him playing in the opening match against Villese here, and that was game one where he had some crazy aggression, and we just felt like Villese, on a super aggressive map, couldn't really have the answers to the full aggression of Tato.
Yeah, with Portuguese, we've seen it actually several times throughout the tournament, and then just going for all the knights and the crossbowmen, able to really hit with a faster castle age. Then game number two here on Fish and Fish, this was all about going for the big fight in the middle, skirmishers and spearmen, and this was just camping production and a really quick and easy win here.
Yeah, it felt like every single time we saw the super aggressive games, Tato was coming out ahead. And that's typically the strength of Hera as well, so maybe some good answers here for Tato to weather the storm that Hera is surely bringing.
Yeah, and here in the final game that Tato was able to win in a really interesting one. He got the early lead with Persians, took control of the water, able to get that huge economy behind it. Villese had some great plays to hang in there, but at the end of the day, Persian paladins and crossbowmen, it's just a little too much for Villese to handle, and Tato getting that win to go over into the semifinals.
Ooh, Villese made him work for it for sure, but Tato, obviously coming from a big W out of our last tournament, now looking maybe for a repeat.
Yeah, but it was a close match still against Villese, right? And Arena and Arabia both were maps that Villese took. Were there things that you guys saw where you thought, oh, maybe Tato is off, maybe that wasn't it. Maybe he played great games and Villese was just a bit better. But is there anything that he should have looked towards fixing for today?
Well, Dave mentioned it multiple times, right? It felt like Tato underappreciated the strengths of Hufnice. Like Bohemians, we got to those upgraded bombard cannons, and they were so powerful. Tato tried to play around it and tried to come up with something, but didn't really have the answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just felt like in those more macro-oriented games, the more late-game-focused ones, Tato was really good. Like, I mean, all of these players are good at everything, but just a little bit less versus Villese. And if you're going to be winning against Hera, you need to be sharp at all stages.
All right, and if you want to compare right now Tato to how he qualified at Wololo, what's his level looking like? Is he playing up to that level that he was showing?
It is tricky to say, right? It was more like, okay, we were envisioning Hera winning, right? He looked so good in the group stage, like beating Mr. Yo there, and we felt like it could be a close game, and just, he destroyed him. It wasn't even fun games. Like, it was just how dominant Hera was. And then everyone was like, okay, now Tato next, right? He will roll all of him over him as well. But then Tato got the big W. And then in the finals repeated that as well. So like, that was the major story. A bit of a different game mode though, and less time of preparation, right? We know Tato, he had a full 4 days to prepare between the group stage and then the semifinals.
That's right, yeah. Any thoughts from you on that, Ornlu?
Yeah, it's just going to be a matter of Tato, he's playing at a super high level. I think everyone here is playing at a high level. I don't think anyone's like fallen off, but it's going to just be a matter of can he really hit those timings and can he make Hera get into an uncomfortable position? Because if Hera is just smooth sailing, it's going to be really tough to beat him, I feel.
Also, we have to say that in those 4 days between quarterfinals and semifinals last time, he trained so much. Like, he trained with DauT, he trained with Winchester for multiple days, and now it's only like 12 hours since he knew like who he was facing. Yeah, it's like maybe 2-3 warm-up games. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't think he's coming up with new strategies. So we will see how good were those 3-4 days in Berlin with the boot camp.
Okay, excellent. And let's next take a look at Hera's victories from yesterday.
All right, guys, so here we were in the very first game between Hera and Jordan. That game was absolutely brutal. Hera just showing his early game eco optimization, getting to Castle Age with Khmer so much faster than just running into his opponent's base with knights and skirmishers. It's like, oh, wait, is the game over? Yep. Yep, looks like the game's over.
Yeah, just so dominant, right? How he dove under the town center there as well. Typically, people want to avoid that. Then Jordan took 2 games, and one of the big wins here for Hera was not actually in the game, but also in his head, right? Typically, we know he's not that strong, or he can tilt mentally there, but he stayed composed and took 2 W's in a row, and this one looked really clean against Jordan, Lithuanians, who didn't really have the answers against the Obelisk.
Yeah, just getting to that stronger economy, super clean macro, and a completely opposite game here in the last one, in the big decider match. Just super heavy aggression from the Portuguese, crossbowmen, knights, all up in Jordan's face, who was going maybe a little bit too greedy, and at that point, Hera just powering through and getting the victory and moving on to the semifinal here.
Also something beautiful that happened here. Hera, we know that he loves to play the 3TC, crossbow micro. This one showed the stone, played the 1TC all in, and really punished Jordan, who didn't really realize what was coming.
Yeah, it was tough to hold on, and then we remember that Hera also has really, really good micro, just able to take those fights and do exactly what he needed to do to get the win right there. And I feel like this set is just going to be absolutely incredible.
You know, we just went over his wins right there, and his victories, it really looks like he's a very dominant player. It's like, how does anyone ever beat him? But Jordan, like you mentioned, Nilly, beat him twice. What actually was going wrong for Hera there? Was he having like a little bit of a mental break? Was he losing his focus? What was he doing wrong that he should fix coming into today?
In the after interview, he said that he had some sound issues and didn't even really realize that Jordan reached Castle Age there in the Saracens game. But kind of like, where was the army? Like, his game sense might have been a bit off, because like there were like 2 archers, 3 spearmen, no more army for like 3 minutes. It was kind of obvious that Jordan was doing something that Hera didn't realize, right? Scouting was off a bit there, and we know that Tato can be really sneaky. I think Hera could actually ban Saracens here. Not one of the best civilizations, but one of the trickiest ones to play against.
And one that Tato is very much known for playing in a lot of situations. So I think that might be a decent idea, or maybe if not ban it, snipe it if Tato does indeed pick it. It's going to be something that we're going to need to see Hera keep in the back of his mind, because Tato, he'll get you if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, for sure. Also, map drafts will be important, right?
Of course, yeah.
Arena, a tricky map for Hera to play against. Northern Isles, a tricky map to play against. Ring of Reeds. Those are 3 maps that I would love to see for Tato.
Yeah, and we will get into that draft in just a little bit here. But I would like for you guys to just think for a moment about those 2 series that they ended up playing yesterday. And who would you say was playing better overall? Was it Tato? Was it Hera? Who was closer to their actual top level?
I have to say it is Hera, not because I saw it, but because of what Jordan told me. Because Jordan said, that's the best he's ever played. And he was so proud of his performance. A guy that we considered to be the 2nd best player in the world, or at least top 3 for a very long time, right? Then he took a break. Now he's clearly back in the top 8 in the world. And he said, that's the best I've played in years, and he still lost to Hera.
Wow.
It's tough, man. They were 2 very close sets. So both players, I think, showed that there are some very small weaknesses, but overall, both players at the top of their level. I do think that Hera has the higher ceiling than Tato, but that is only in situations where games are pretty clean, where that's just down to mechanics, and it's not like Hera isn't an adaptable player, but I feel like Tato just shines a bit more in those situations.
All right. Well, guys, it looks like we're actually going to have to go ahead, jump to a little commercial break here. Sorry about that, guys. This one might be a little bit longer than what we're used to, but we'll be back as soon as possible to get this draft going, and we'll see you in a little bit.
10 engineers, you'll be here.
So sorry for the wait, everyone. We are back with the semifinals just about to begin. But before we do that, we're just going to have a little moment with the man himself, DauT. How are you today?
Thank you. Well, obviously still shaky after yesterday. I was just telling Leary, the guy in the crowd, if I made 10 engineers, he'll be here and I will be there, but that's the game.
That's the game. I saw you backstage getting ready for the interview right now, and you had a little bit of pampering experience in the makeup room. How was that?
I feel like princess now. Can you tell the difference?
You look beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very beautiful.
I was passing to the staff, like, do you need makeup? Yes, you do. Okay. He was brutally honest.
Well, you do look great. So speaking of yesterday, what was your thought process coming off and just thinking about the tournament in your matches?
Well, obviously we all know each other very well, and I was really hyped to get Leary. We do spend in those online events, LAN events, we spend a lot of time together, and first time we actually get to play against each other. So it was really fun to have the match on the big stage, and after that, we also hang around, went to the bar and such. Just really good experience all overall. Would be better if I won, but I take what I get.
Yeah, that sounds like a great mentality to have. But Age of Empires 2 grew a lot during the pandemic, and we didn't have many LANs, obviously, during the lockdowns. But what about the LANs before that? Can you give us some insights how they compare to the Wololos and to DreamHack here at the Grand Melee?
Well, the first LAN, how it all started, was with our lovely Neely, right? He made a NAC 1, more like apartment casual style. And as game keep growing, the professional level keep growing, prize pools, and obviously all this crew now doing amazing job. So yeah, it did grow a lot. And compared to the Wololo, which is more like made just for us, this is esport. Like, this is not just us. Now we are part of the esport, while Wololo was just like our little thing. So we are definitely growing on a good way.
And what about the interaction with the players? Do you feel like as you see each other more and more at LAN events, the community is growing closer? Is there more trash talk, less trash talk? How do you find the interactions there?
Actually, at first few events, it was more trash talk. Now I guess we're getting bored of the trash talk. We all basically like a small little family. We really like each other, and like everybody support you. Like even if you lose, you're very happy for the guy who won, and it makes easier loss. It's just a very good community, I believe.
I totally get behind that 100%. It's very, very tight-knit and just a joy to be around in the presence of all the pros. But speaking of the pros here, that we do have some semifinals coming up. What are your thoughts going into the semifinals or watching the semifinals? Do you have any favorites?
My thoughts is it should be me. It should be me playing Leary. Yeah, obviously we expected those top 4, right? With Yo missing out, he's part of the big 4 as well, but Tato is a good replacement. So yeah, they were top seed as well, kind of expected, although yesterday I think was one of the best Age of Empires days. Every set was super competitive, and easily it could have been bottom place here. So yeah, I think if we have to guess, I would give Viper the biggest chance to win the event.
Well, I mean, he's a fan. He's a favorite for many. He's a favorite for many. But when it comes to Hera, Tato, and Leary, Viper, they obviously trained a lot. We saw a lot of strategies. How many strategies were you preparing for the tournament? Do you think we'll see lots of new stuff?
We are all out. We used everything. But yeah, we did prepare quite a bit of new strategies. For example, Fish and Fish, Druidians. We do have a counter styles as well that are not shown. For example, I tried my Druidians plan several times and we found some weaknesses that now, for example, Leary will not know about those weaknesses because he doesn't have that many experience in this matchup. So those plans can still be used. But yeah, we did practice quite a bit.
Well, that's good to hear. One more question before we send it back to the analyst desk. Predictions for the first semifinal. What are your scores? Who do you favor?
Tato all the way. I mean, Tato for sure. Red Bull champion. Tato for sure. And like I said, I think Viper will beat Leary and probably win the whole event.
Well, we'll see if his predictions come to pass. The Lord does work in mysterious ways, so maybe there's some influence there. But back to the analyst desk for some more insights.
Right. Thank you very much, Ellie. Always great to hear from DauT. Do you guys agree with his opinions there?
Yeah. Like it's obviously like he's so good friends with Tato, right? So I think like him saying Tato all the way is what he's like dreaming of. I think it's obviously going to way closer. In my books, Hera the slight favorite there, but could easily be Tato.
Sure. What about you, Arnlu?
I think it's going to be very close. I think that the players have a really interesting stylistic matchup between each other. Hera the much more standard, Tato the much more strategic, and it's going to come down to who has the better day today. Of course, it always does, but it's just going to be really sick. I think I do favor Hera just a little bit, though.
Okay. So of course we do have Hera versus Tato coming up, and we actually have some nice stats for them. Let's go ahead and take a look at that head-to-head. I believe this is from just the last couple of years. So this is from the beginning of 2021. 2-3, 11-10 map score in Tato's favor. That is pretty damn close.
I just wonder where they face each other so much. But yeah, typically Hera, the one that feels okay. I'm doing pretty fine against the GL boys, obviously considered to be top 3 players. Tato, he was for a very long time considered to be top 8. But now he's kind of making the jump into top 5, maybe even scratching at the top 4 in the world.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's really interesting that Tato has one more map win than Hera, but Hera has won one more series. So obviously this means that Tato, when he's winning, it's in close sets, and when Hera is winning, it's more of a one-sided series. So we'll have to see how that dynamic plays out today. Is Tato going to be looking stronger? Is Hera going to have a bit of a tougher time? Or is it going to be going along with tradition?
All right, well, we do have another really interesting set of graphics here. We actually have all their civilization plays from the tournament so far. You guys know? Do you have it memorized already, how much they've played each civ?
Is it with qualifiers or without?
I believe it's with the qualifiers as well.
Okay, then I assume Hera played more civilizations than Tato.
No doubt about that.
Civs memorized.
Okay, that's a very brave statement there, Nilly, since Tato, of course, got invited for winning. Well, let's go ahead and throw that graphic up and take a look at exactly what the counts are.
Most picked civ Cumans there for Tato. Is that like... We only had one set, right? For him. If we only have the main event for here?
Yeah,
or is that like for a longer period?
Hera Mayans. Okay.
Oh, okay, so it's just the most played.
Okay.
Over what time span? Do we know that?
For this tournament.
Well, we only had one set.
Yeah. Well, no, but we also had the qualifiers for Hera.
But not for Tato.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's like
so Tato
5
has
civs that he has most played.
the most. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
humans, he liked the most.
These are great stats
And
here.
like stats guy in the back picks the civs that he lost with.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Tato didn't even win his game with humans.
Yeah. All right. Well, not exactly what I was expecting there on screen, but that's all right. I think that we should be ready now to throw it over to Ellie and introduce those players so we can get into the draft. Ellie, take it away.
Thank you so much. I am so excited. We are just mere moments away from starting the first semifinal of the Grand Melee tournament. So let's not delay any further. And first, we'll invite our first contender, Hera from Canada, living in Argentina now, onto the stage. I'm so excited to see him play. He is a master of his craft, and he's going to be up against a pretty fierce contender. We've got the defending LAN champion, Tato from Spain. Please join us up on stage as well. If it's anything like yesterday, I'm expecting a really, really close set. What about you, Hera? How are you feeling going into this match?
Feeling pretty good. He knocked me out last time, so I'm going to try to rewrite things now, and it's going to be a good set regardless.
Well, we're looking forward to it for sure. And what about you, Tato? Any civs you're planning on banning? I'm just joking. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I feel good. Hera is always a super tough opponent, so I'm hoping for good matches and hopefully to beat him.
Well, I think, like I said, it's going to be a really close game, and I'm really looking forward. I think the fans are looking forward as well. Any last words for Tato before you get into the semifinals?
I wish him the best of luck. I think it's going to be a great series. He's a great player, and I'm just excited to share the stage with him today.
And Tato, same to you. Any words for Hera?
Basically what he said, like good luck for him as well, and hopefully it's a good series as well.
Well, we're always hoping for some trash talk, but nothing but love here. So we'll get these gentlemen sorted into their desks. And speaking of desks, Artosis, back to you.
Ellie, yeah, everyone's so nice in age. Are you guys going to get a bad boy that's one of the top players in the world at some point?
He didn't qualify.
Yeah.
He didn't?
Wasn't able to make it.
One game away.
So close.
By the way, still thinking about the civilizations, right? They're kind of representing the styles of the two players, right? Cumans, obviously a very tricky civilization. We have like the extra town center in feudal age, extra rams as an option in feudal age compared to other civilizations. Tricky to figure out, and that's kind of Tato's style, right? So Cumans actually represents Tato pretty well. On the other side, mass crossbow going into Arbalest, hitting the timings, and the Archer Micro kind of representing Hera. So those two civs that we saw were actually pretty good picks representing the players.
All right. Well, speaking of civs, we are just about to go into the draft. I just want quick thoughts from you guys. What do they need to do to have a successful draft? Orla?
Well, for Tato, it's going to be getting some of those more off-brand, off-meta picks for his draft and making sure that he can navigate through the snipes and still have all of his civs for the maps he needs. Now, Tato, I think arguably the best drafter in all of Age of Empires. I feel like that is pretty consistent. I don't think I've ever seen this guy have a bad draft. Hera, I mean, it's not like he's bad at it by any means, but he just needs to get the civs he would need to have the most success with. I think it's less about trying to counter what Tato's doing and more of just like, okay, I want to play my game. If I can play my game effectively, I'm going to win.
That's going to be the wild thing. Best of sevens, obviously. We have more civilizations, more thoughts even going into it. 3 home maps. We're expecting something aggressive out of Hera, something like Atacama, Land Madness.
Or Northern Isles.
I'm pretty sure this is switched. I don't want to say the graphics guys this one. The typical home map of Hera is Land Madness, the typical home map of Northern Isles. Maybe they had a deal behind the scenes and said like,
you are
let's
right,
switch
Nilly.
it and screw with Nilly.
It is switched. They're fixing it.
Okay.
Very good call, Nilly.
Now, some ban of Tato for something like Atacama could be something, because that's also a really aggressive map. Then Hera could think, okay, what am I going to ban? Something like Arena, something like Ring of Reeds would feel likely.
Yeah, I think that'd make all the sense in the world. I would suspect that we see Arabia in this draft at some point. Hera a bit more likely to do that than Tato. And oh wow, there we go. Already filling in lots of the graphics. Looks like we have everything switched appropriately. Graveyards banned by Tato. Super aggressive map. Don't want to have to worry about Hera there. And Arena, the most offensive map. Hera doesn't want to worry about Tato there. And then we have Tato going with Fish and Fish. Hera with Arabia and Gold Rush.
Frigid Lake for Tato. I would have expected the Ring of Reeds there, kind of the very strategic maps, lots of different options, tricky to play, and we saw that Jordan beat Hera on it yesterday, so maybe something that Tato could have, well, capitalized on, but went for Frigid Lake, more of, well, kind of the water map there as well. And as we can see, right, if we look at Hera, not a single pond, and Tato, lots of blue on his minimaps there.
Yeah, it's going to be... It's pretty stylistic between these two players. Tato wanting to go with the maps that are a little bit more out there, a little bit less of what you play on the ladder day in and day out. With Hera, it's like, okay, we have Arabia clone number 1, and then Arabia with gold in the middle.
It's actually true, right? All those 3 maps were also part of the normal ranked ladder rotation.
Yep.
Obviously, Northern Isles, never. Fish and, or like, I think never, right? Frigid Lake, I don't really think on random map. Fish and Fish, never as well. So Tato's picking the tournament maps, Hera's picking the ladder maps.
And we know Hera, huge ladder player, of course, very popular streamer, content creator.
Human.
There you go.
Oh, Tato now the Marion span and story checks out.
Yeah, we gotta have that right there. So we have our Civilization draft gonna be underway between these two players. And we will have to see what they choose to go for. Hera already banning Tato's.
Oh! Nerfox did his job in the back there.
Oh,
that
good
is
stuff.
great storytelling. Nice. And what do we ban next? Maybe something like Aztecs? Maybe something... I don't see Hera as the big Poles player necessarily. Saracens banned by Tato. That's a surprise.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Hera, to be fair, also is a guy who will play Saracens a lot. And Khmer ban from Hera himself. Another civ that can perhaps be a little bit trickier to play up against, just with having the strong economy and a lot of different units you can go for. We'll have to see, because other than Mayans, the traditional like open map powerhouse civs are all still there. So not necessarily wanting to go with just what you could argue is like the strongest civs that you have in the metagame, but more, let's try and deal with our opponent stylistically.
Expecting something like Franks out of Hera, Lithuanians. We see Poles and Burgundians. Actually, for what? Ah, that's probably for Gold Rush, right?
Yeah, Burgundians, you know, you're able to wall to the side of the map pretty comfortably there, get your eco upgrades, and then go on your merry way. But Poles are also a very strong Gold Rush civ for very much the same reason. And then, Tato going to be going in the completely opposite direction. Hindustanis, Japanese, 2 civs that are a bit more aggressively inclined, and we now have Dravidians as well. So a lot of early game civs here from Tato.
And Japanese and Dravidians, you can play them on multiple maps, right? Great on Northern Isles, great on Fish and Fish, and absolutely great options on Frigid Lake. So Tato's picking for his home maps. Seems like Hera, he's thinking about both, because now he's mixing in Mongols. Feels like Fish and Fish or maybe Frigid Lake direction.
I think you could maybe argue for them on Land Madness as well. It is a very open and aggressive map, but I feel like Fish and Fish does make the most sense for that civilization. And Tato probably just going to be rocking with Japanese on Fish and Fish. It is sort of the logical thing to do. Dravidians possibly for Northern Isles. And then Italians for Hera.
And now the big question. Yesterday we saw Lyri being punished for only having one single water civilization, right? We have one snipe, so we can take one civilization away from our opponent. Do you go for backup civs? Because Tato, he already has Japanese as a backup civ. If he wants to go for like something Portuguese, Dravidians is a backup civ as well. So he doesn't need to focus on Northern Isles. Even as Byzantines, so 3 options now for Northern Isles or for Frigid Lake or Fish and Fish. Like he goes pretty wild in that direction. Hera, does he need to go for the backup pick with Portuguese there in the end?
Well, we'll have to see what he feels he needs to go for. He's had a lot of sort of land map civs in his pool, except for Italians, although Mongols are certainly going to work on Fish and Fish as well. But we'll have to see what he chooses to go for. I think we need to start thinking about Tato's home maps a little bit more if we're Hera at this stage.
Yeah, the thing is, like, most of the balance obviously is designed around Arabia, right? So even if you, like, on Northern Isles, if you have a really bad civ matchup, you go into like 70-30 advantage or like 30-70 disadvantage with a bit bad civ matchup. On Arabia, it's more like 60-40 if you have a bad civ matchup. So I like that Tato is heavily focusing on the non-standard Arabian maps.
Yeah, I mean, you can play most civs on Arabia. It's why top players do it on the ladder all the time. Tato getting Portuguese right there. So getting all of the strong water civs other than Italians in his draft. Meanwhile, Hera can be going with Franks and Tatars, more cavalry civs, more land-focused civs. So we'll have to see what he has in store.
But honestly, we see a lot of cavalry here as well, right? Burgundians can go cavalry, Franks, Tatars. We saw Poles as well. And we have now Gujaras, Hindustani, and Byzantine. Strong camel civilizations to counter that.
Yeah, I'm really liking this draft from Tato so far. It feels like he both has options in that it's not necessarily obvious which civ he's going to go for in any one setting, but also that he can tailor his civ matchup to deal with what Hera is likely throwing, because Hera is making a lot of cavalry in this set. I can predict that much.
It's another strong civ that we can see on Fish and Fish, Frigid Lake, also options on, I think even Arabia Land Madness. We've seen DauT try it, then made a wild strategy there with the market, and now Aztecs for Hera. Pretty damn late, right? Aztecs here?
Yeah, Aztecs normally one of the very first picks or bans in any given tournament draft, and then Persians to round things out. So there is definitely a strong hybrid civ being mixed in. So it is starting to think of Tato's home maps a little bit more. Aztecs you can play on Arabia, Gold Rush, Land Madness, Fish and Fish. I mean, Aztecs you can pick on most maps.
Interesting. Okay, I'm a bit surprised how much love Persians are getting here. Like, they have not been getting love for at least like 4 or 5 patches, like 1.5, maybe even 2 years. And suddenly they're getting picked again. While we actually behind the scenes were thinking about, okay, they are feeling pretty weak, maybe give them back the Dark Age bonus.
Yeah, it's interesting. And Goths, there we go. First out there pick, and Burmese for Hera. You got some spice here.
And Tato also has Incas, right?
And oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
So
all right.
3 completely new civilizations, right? I think we have not seen Gujaras played yet.
I think you're right with that one.
Yeah, so like potentially see 4 completely new civilizations. Obviously, we increase from best of 5 to best of 7, so potentially 2 more maps, 2 more civilizations to be drafted here as well. I love the variety.
Yeah, and that's of course what we're getting in these more extended series, a little bit more variety, a bit more counterpick potential, and we'll have to see what exactly these guys have in store. Mongols being sniped by Tato.
Ooh, and it's not a first page snipe. Portuguese!
Oh!
Sniping the 5th pick or something?
Yeah.
Okay. That's scared. Obviously, Portuguese heavily changed after the last balance change just 1 week ago, and now it's considered to be way stronger. Mongols, a crazy rushing civ. Who do you favor here?
I still like Tato's draft a little bit more than Hera's. It feels like I said, he just has so many options on all of the different settings. He's got great counterpick civs, Hindustanis, he's got Byzantines, he's got Goths and Incas that you can mix in, whereas Hera, I mean, he does have his own variety that he can play with, but almost all of the civs are in the cavalry family. Mm-hmm. And if you can match up your good civ matchup there for Tato, I think he can have a good time in this set.
It feels like if people ask me, okay, what civilization should I pick on this map? This is exactly what Hera is going for, right? And what I would advise, like, yeah, okay, let Mendes go for Franks. Yeah, Northern Isles go for Italians, right? Those are the easy to play. You have the clear plan. Everything works out in one direction, and it's pretty clear what you're going to execute. And for Tato, I see a lot of civs with potential in both directions, right? Because, like, what are we going to do with, like, Incas, Goth? I have no idea what's coming our way. Like, Dravidians, there are so many shaky things that can easily go wrong. But if they work, they pay off brilliantly.
And that's like what we were saying earlier. Hera, if he's going to win, it's going to be just playing his own game. And it looks like we will be getting into this in just a moment.
That's right. Great analysis, guys, on that draft. But these two are ready to start our first semifinal match. Your casters here are going to be Dave and Jordan. Guys, take it away.
Welcome, everyone, to day number 2, of course, our semifinal here between Tato and Hera. And I have the pleasure to be casting this semifinal with none other than Jordan, who put on an excellent performance yesterday. Before we get started, I just want to congratulate you, dude. You played amazing. I know you agree that there was like just some slight slip-ups there, maybe, but Hera is so tough to beat. Even when you're up 2-1, it just feels like an impossible task, doesn't it?
Yeah. So Dave, first of all, thank you so much for the congratulations. And I mean, what can I say? Like yesterday, I felt like I played the best I have played since at least 1 year, right? So I felt so extremely good. But Hera, he was just, especially in game 4 and game 5, I felt like the hill is too big. Right?
Even game 2,
so
it's like you should win that every single time, and then he makes it so difficult for you, you know?
Yeah. It was super hard, right? And, you know, there was a moment where I was like, okay, I have all the map control in the middle, I have all the resources, I have camels, I have Janissary. Like, there's no way he can win anymore, right? 1 minute later, I see myself close to resigning.
Yeah.
Right? It was just like,
I saw you laughing and smiling, and you're just like, oh no, here it comes again, you know? You're killing him in the middle, but you know somewhere he's got 150 villagers and 70 farms on the outside, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, this matchup is going to be insane. Jordan and I were looking over the stats beforehand. The Lifetime Series, Hera is actually 16-7 against Tato, and we were talking about it. 2020 and 2021, Hera went on a 14-0 streak in terms of sets. That's not map wins, that's sets against Tato, and he finally took 2 wins in 2022. And of course, the notable one being at Wallalow 6, and that was absolutely crazy semifinal. I'm anticipating an insane semifinal here. The Civ draft is extremely interesting for me. Like some of the Civs, they're Incas, Burmese, Goths. Where are we going to utilize these civilizations? And what is Hera going to pick on Tato's home maps? That's the biggest question for me. Tato's got variety, but Hera, maybe some question marks.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, for me in the past, like, as you mentioned, right, the stats were very one-sided for Hera. And, you know, Tato has somehow managed to, you know, reverse it a little bit. And for me personally, and I know also for a lot of other people, this set, Tato against Hera, has come from, let's say, a rather one-sided to maybe one of the most exciting matchups we can have in
It's interesting, too, because when Hera was growing as a player, Tato would beat him every time. And then Hera, when DE came out, Hera started beating Tato every time. Like I said, 14-0. And then finally, RMS Cup 2, I believe, Tato beat Hera, and then he took that momentum, took it into Wallalow Legacy, and he managed to win that semifinal famously and then go on and win the final. So our reigning tournament land champion coming up here, and he's got a little bit of a swagger now, and I feel like it's not just his perception of himself, but the way that other players look at him too. Like he's a legitimate threat.
Yeah, 100%. For me, Tato, like, we have the top 4, which are kind of, you know, Mr. Yo, Hera, Lyri, and Viper.
Yeah.
And then there was always this big debate about who's going to be the 5th best. And like every or person you asked had different opinions on that one. But for me personally, Tato has managed to get the top 5 for me.
And it looks like we're into the game. And of course, game number 1 is going to be Sheepfold. And I'll be very interested to see the Civs here. I believe Tato, Tato is playing Incas, and that's what I suspected for this map. I was wondering where that Inca pick was going to slot in. I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be the Goths, you know, maybe just a little bit of mind games there from Tato. But Incas are a fantastic civilization, and I think they get buffed a little bit in this format in that you start with 2 houses automatically, and each of their houses counts for 10 population. So I think that's kind of a little bit of a buff, and I believe the first lane of the main event here coming in as Tato is stealing the boar from Hera, and Hera is tracking this with his scout. He's going to try to block this eagle. Is it worth it to steal on a 9-villager start, Jordan?
So for me, the answer is obviously no, right? Especially if you're the Eagle player, you never want to go for the lane because you're slower than the Scout player.
And well, there we go. The Eagle tried, and it kind of failed. At least he's going to delay the boar timing a little bit from Hera, but now he's down an Eagle.
Yeah.
And this is a rough start for Tato. Great block there from Hera.
Yeah. I mean, if things like that happen, I always look at if the Scout player is actually paying attention. And, you know, Hera, he was close to the boar. I don't think he expected that one because you just don't expect the Eagle player to lame you, right? And in this case, Hera really was on point. He managed to kill the Eagle. And now he has a great start because Tato is completely in the black.
Can we talk a little bit about this Civ matchup? So where do Incas thrive here? Is it Feudal Age? Is it Castle Age? Imperial Age?
I think with Incas, the main thing is that you want to get the Eagle Mass in Castle Age. So obviously you want to survive in Feudal Age. So you will build Eagle Archer, I would assume, depending on what the Frank player is going to go for. You want to add some Spearmen there as well. Survive into Castle Age, and then you will go for the push with Eagles and Monks, like kind of Aztecs against Chimera yesterday, DauT between DauT and Lyri there. And obviously, DauT has done some mistakes there. We talked about those, and I'm sure Tato goes into this with a very clear mindset and knows exactly how he wants to play this one.
And I know the Slingers got a little bit buffed in our last patch, too. So there's the potential there. Against Franks, unlikely to see that, though, because they're not going to be making pikemen, and they're unlikely to be making longswords, right? MBL's not in the main event, so we won't see that. What a crazy series of events in the qualifier there. MBL playing Arabia against Tato and not even making a single night with Franks, completely subverting our expectations. But, I mean, staying true to form as far as his strategies go. So Hera has a great start here. He's got lots of exploration on Tato. I wonder if he saw that barracks. He did not see the barracks. He didn't see it at all, and his scout is in the wrong place to track those militia, soon-to-be men-at-arms coming across the map. So he might be a little bit surprised by that, but it looks like Hera does have a back gold in his base. He's got the forward main gold and then another one to the right, but he's taking that back gold, so it's going to take a long time for the men-at-arms to get back there.
Exactly, and I'm pretty sure that Hera has a very good sense that something like that is going to happen, because with the sheep in the middle, he has the full vision on the main gold of Tato. So he sees 3 on gold, and that, you know, as Mezzo, you obviously know you're going to play against men-at-arms most likely there.
Yeah, and that barracks timing, I mean, he didn't see a villager building it. It might just be a little bit too early to be the barracks that you need for the archer range follow-up, and he's coming over here and he's looking for those militia. He's going to find them. Tato's still 30 seconds away from getting that men-at-arms upgrade, but that scout has 54 HP because of Franks automatically, and that is good tracking from Hera, and he's going to be able to defend this perfectly fine with little walls around the woodline.
Yeah, 100%. And I have to say, I feel like Hera is one of the best players out there to, you know, defend against men-at-arm pushes. I remember when I always went for Drush for men-at-arms against him, like his scout is just so active, and he knows exactly all the time where those men-at-arms are. And he's quick-walling his resources well, very effectively. So Tato is really trying to seek some damage, but he will not be really successful in doing so, and Hera completely on point here. And with the archers, he will be able to fend this one back.
I mean, if nothing else, Tato, as he pauses here to readjust a little bit, if nothing else, Tato's buying himself a little bit of time to mass up the archers. Hera's going to have to send his initial force back here to deal with this. He doesn't want to be repairing forever on that gold, but one thing Hera's so good at, like you said, is just getting those walls down right before your militia hit him or your men-at-arms come in, or tracking them to the point where he knows exactly what to prepare before you show up. There's no surprise element there, and it's really hard to gain momentum.
Exactly, and that's also why I think on this map, making men-at-arms work is very tough because of the sheep in the middle. Like, you have full vision, so your men-at-arms have to loop on the side, and that obviously gives the opposing player a lot of time to react to this, and this is the perfect example for that. But as you mentioned, Dave, it buys him a little bit of time as well, and information. So Tato knows exactly now what Hera is going for, and let's see what Tato will follow up with. I guess we will see some archer scrims, which is usually the follow-up.
I suppose that helps, too, since he lost his eagle, right? So he gets his men-at-arms forward. He just confirms that Hera's going for that archer range rather than going for a stable or, God forbid, just full walling. Instead of waiting for 2 or 3 archers and then coming over and discovering it, you have your militia there right away. And at the end of the day, Jordan, I mean, Hera can't provide early pressure because his 2 archers are busy chasing this away. So Tato is buying his economy a little bit of time, Hera harassing that back wood line with the scout. We know how annoying he can be with that one. As Tato has brought 2 archers and a skirmisher this way, he might actually get an early archer here. Hera manages to retreat on 1 HP, but he does snipe a villager. Classic Hera.
Yeah, very nicely done by Hera. Like, he paid attention to both situations. He did not lose the archer in the front. I think it was surviving with 1 HP, so very nice save by him. And in the meanwhile, he was also simultaneously killing the villager. Tato was not really there in time, and therefore he lost the villager there. Yeah. Now a
Smart
defensive
tower there from Tato. Especially with Incas, I mean, you only have to go to the stone with 1 villager now, long distance, and mine it to get enough for a TC, right?
Yep.
So why not put the tower there? Your gold is so exposed, you know your opponent is opening archer range. I think one thing that kind of benefits Tato here is the fact that the Franks player is playing into range units, which isn't necessarily their strength.
Yep.
You know, and if Hera wants to make a tech switch into knights, he's going to have to get those techs rather than carrying on into crossbows, which I think isn't necessarily ideal in this matchup.
The thing is also what against Eagle plays is good is the knight archer combination. So I think Hera is not going to be too upset about that one. So he will try, like he did against me yesterday as well, right? Like build up the archer numbers in feudal age, and then upon reaching castle age, you will at the stables, and then you have the crossbow knight combination. And I really think like with Mesosivs, you struggle against that.
Yep.
You need to have some lucky conversions, let's say like that.
Also tough to get a forward siege workshop down on a map like this.
Yeah.
It's tough to find a spot, right? With all that rocky terrain, and it's kind of cramped at the front there. And that's usually what accompanies that eagle push from the Incas. So if Hera manages to control the sides of his base here, Tato might find it tough to find that forward pressure. Hera sniping down a few archers now, and Tato now paying him back by killing that scout, and that's actually a really valuable kill, and he's going to kill all of these archers here unless Hera is careful, maybe getting away with 2 if he's lucky. Good stuff there from Tato, and good distraction at the back as well.
Yeah, I love the way Tato is playing right now. I mean, he's forcing so much reaction from Hera. He also forces him to build some skirms as well, which 100% Hera doesn't want to build any skirms right now. He wants to fully focus on archer. I'm surprised by the fact that he has not added a stable yet, which is usually the normal reaction when you see the skirms, and especially Hera.
And he's got a decent farm eco too. It tells me he's prioritizing going up to Castle Age and maybe getting knights out. Tato is the first one to add a market here. Hera could really benefit from a market with 530 gold already. You can tell how much pressure he's under. 500 gold in the bank at this stage of feudal is a bit much.
When I see things like that, I always check if it's Hera or a DauT playing, because that's usually something you see from DauT.
DauT would have had a market 2 minutes ago, just like Tato. Tato, I saw him putting it up in the back of his base, and Tato's still providing pressure. Military count 12-5 at the moment, and Hera, like you said, he doesn't want to make skirms. He stopped making skirms. He did add the stable, but just lost half the HP on that scout.
Yeah.
So Tato, also with 2 men-at-arms still alive, it's tough to engage against that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I really think Tato is in a very good position, especially as he has the market, so he can really go ham on that one. And yeah, Hera is now going for the market himself. And look at that hit.
Bop, bop, bop.
Like
up to the Castle Age.
Bam.
And Tato selling wood now and buying food, but he's still 400 food away. So great transition here from Hera. He's got the stable up to make those scouts to counter the skirmishers, and that means he can go directly into knights upon reaching the next age. He's even getting forging now. So these knights are going to be pretty strong immediately. And Tato, because of the nature of the map, is going to be wide open. Hera? Open at the TC, but walled everywhere else, so...
Exactly. And that is the dicey thing for Tato now, because he's completely open. The main gold is in the front. There is a tower, yes, but the tower doesn't really care about knights, or the knights don't they really care about the tower. And Tato is just so far away from Castle Age time from Hera. So Hera will be able to flood the map with knights, and Tato is really going to struggle against it, I think.
Look at the economy from Hera, too.
Yeah.
He's got the 15 farms set up. He's already got 400 food in the bank. He probably needs to spend it on the armor upgrade for his cav, but even after spending that, he's going to have plenty of resources. Goes for another market wall, the second market of the game, just to keep these units out. Good pressure there from Tato as he clicks up to the Castle Age. But Hera's eco is set up, man. He's got 12 on gold, 400 gold, 500 food. He's ready to produce.
Yeah, and the second stable is about to finish now as well, so Hera is going to pump out knights from 2 stables right away. And Tato, he really has to think about how he wants to defend against that one. Obviously, upon reaching castle age, he wants to add monasteries, right? But there is 1 minute and 40 seconds where he will really have to defend as a master here.
Good job from Tato clearing up those archer numbers, because if Hera was able to upgrade to crossbow, get bodkin, then suddenly the monks have, I mean, they're way less effective, essentially. And Hera is coming forward with some more archers now. They might actually run into that tower or get cleared up by Tato's eagles that are coming forward. Also, great job from Tato to keep the pressure up. He knows this army is basically dead as soon as Hera gets knights, but he forced out some repairs, the market, houses, a little bit of extra expense from Hera.
Exactly, and this is good for Tato because he's buying himself time with a useless army anyway. So just keeping those knights busy. And on the other side, Tato was able to wall himself in here on the gold, but obviously economy is going to be exposed here.
So do you go 2 barracks monastery? Do you go 3 barracks and then monastery? Like what's the key here? Because your forward gold is kind of exposed. It's hard to really like oversaturate that with villagers.
Yeah, I think the only play has to be 2 monasteries, and then ideally you add 2 barracks as well. But it's going to be very tough for Tato to make it work. So
have to afford the upgrades too. Like he wants pikemen, right? He's got 5 spearmen too, but he can't even afford it at this rate.
Exactly. Usually in an ideal world, you don't want to go for pikemen right away in cast stage because the economy is not really set up for that. But that's why you add monks. But eventually Tato will want to have pikemen, And we see 2 barracks here, adding a monastery as well. So he will be safe. Tato will not take any damage, I suppose. But you know, Tato will be here on the back foot.
Yep, and Hera adds a 2nd TC behind this. I don't like adding that 3rd TC, but the 2nd TC behind the Knights, you'll slowly expand your eco out there. You get the farm upgrade automatically with the Franks, which is so useful, right? It's just such an easy transition into more villager production and more Knights coming out. Better food eco. We see 19 farms for Hera versus 14 from Tato. And Hera even has more on gold than Tato, which is unusual when you're talking about an Incas player with more than 1 barracks.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing you mentioned about the 2 TCs is very smart because I see a lot of players adding the 3rd TC as well, even though their economy is not set up for that, and then that causes a lot of idle time, right? And that way you can spend the wood onto the farms until the point where you can afford the 3rd TC, and now the monk is trying to get the conversion, and Dave, will it happen? I don't think so, no, he's running away.
The monk is just a little bit too slow as the Knights are still pressuring on the wood line. The archer army is still finding value for Hera, and he's adding in more archers, so he's just waiting for the resources to get the upgrades. He's adding in archers with only fletching, no crossbow upgrade in Castle Age, because he knows eventually he'll need it, and he can pressure that wood line too.
Yeah. And also Tato, you know, he's adding monks, he's adding a lot of spearmen as well, so the archers are going to be very effective here, and Hera obviously knows that. But Tato right now, I don't see any slip-off in terms of his defense, and those 2 monks are going to be able to keep those knights away here. Hera is forced to retreat, but as you mentioned, Dave, the economy is going to grow further and further for Hera. Right now with 11 villagers more, crossbow and bodkin era are coming in here, and overall I think Hera is going to be very satisfied with his position.
Both players just kind of delaying upgrades too. Like Hera delayed that crossbow upgrade, he delayed bodkin because he wanted to keep his TCs running. Tato is delaying the pikeman upgrade, which he probably would have wanted at this point in favor of stuff like sanctity or forging or making more eagles. And after all is said and done, I mean, Hera snipes 2 more villagers, I believe, on that wood line. Tato's only lost 3 vills, and Hera was up a minute and a half earlier to Castle Age. He had knights at his base, he had archers there too. So good defense so far from Tato, but like we said, Hera's economy is growing behind this, and Tato is just kind of stagnating here. He's trying to get enough eagles to take this fight. Hera has more knights than Tato has eagles, though, and that is always a bad sign.
Exactly. This is kind of disastrous. Usually you want to have around 1.5 or 2 times the amount of eagles compared to the knights here. I think this fight should be okay for Tato.
He gets 3 conversions. It could be okay, but he's losing all of his eagle mass here. He needs those other knights to convert quickly. The spearmen are now engaging. No pikeman upgrade there. The crossbows will all die, and it looks like the knights are all going to die from Hera, too. Excellent fight there from Tato as the numbers kind of even up now.
Yeah, I think that fight was beautiful for Tato. I mean, Hera, I feel like he should have waited a bit more. Obviously, he didn't want to lose his crossbows, but at this point, he wasted a lot of knights here. And, Tato with the 3 monks was able to get 3 conversions, if I'm not mistaken. So was very, very efficient with that fight. But the big story for me here is, where is Tato's economy?
Yeah,
like
look at Hera's farming cute, like 27 on food already.
It's crazy. On the other side, we have Tato sitting on 14 farms right now. And still 1 TC. So I suppose we will soon see a very massive push coming from Tato, because that's the only thing he can do to really make something happen. Because if he's going to play defensive and let Hera raid him all over the place while Hera is adding economy, meanwhile, it's not going to work. And obviously Tato, as a player as he is, he knows that. So he's just waiting until he has the mass of army, and then he wants to push forward, I suppose.
I like the decision-making from Hera to go into crossbows. So he has that TC at the front. He can keep his crossbows under the TC, kind of defend against the units. And then he got husbandry, and he's got 3 knights, group of 3, group of 2, running around at the back. And if Tato wants to cancel out those units at the back, he's going to have 2 or 3 monks. He's going to have like 10 eagles to deal with that, and they can't catch up to the knights. And we know Hera is so good at just using small groups of units to raid. So if Tato brings his entire force forward, Hera's going to be in on that wood line.
Yeah, and this is just where Hera, I would say, excels the most. Defending, maybe in the scene, he's the best defender we have. And, if his opponent plays 1 TC aggression, it's exactly as you mentioned. Like, he will defend, and a few units are going to be there for raiding. And as the 1 TC player, this is one of the most annoying things you have to deal with, because ideally you want to focus all the attention in the front where your main army is, and you don't want to deal with any raiding.
Tato would love this so much more if there wasn't that rocky terrain in the center. If he could just get right to Hera's base, that would be fantastic. But instead, he has to go around the sides. He's going for a 3rd TC now. But look at how the villager count has just spiraled out of control. He's 30 villagers ahead of Tato currently. And he's got wheelbarrow. And he's got the 2nd wood upgrade, 2nd farm upgrade. He's finding the villagers coming out for that TC. Knights are coming back. Monks are coming back. The Eagle army from Tato not able to get into Hera's base. He might get a few more conversions here, but villager losses would just make that villager differential even bigger as Tato finally clears up 2 villagers from Hera. That's the first 2 villagers he's killed this game.
It's crazy, especially thinking about all the aggression, which... Oh, quick one.
He's trapping him in here, folks. He's trapping him in.
Yeah.
The Eagles can still get out on the side, but husbandry is in, so those knights are very quick indeed. And he's going to be chasing back this army, and Hera's fine. He's fine with hanging out in his own base with his army because he's got 90 villagers.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because Tato has been very, very aggressive early on. And thinking about it, considering the 2 villager losses only for Hera, that's quite a statement regarding the defensive capabilities he has, and he's going to trap those eagles in.
Yeah, he's trying to block with the 4. He's got another army coming. Oh, Tato splits around! Tato, what a maneuver! He splits around the army, attempting to block him with the flank, but Hera gets right in the midst of those eagles. Both players positioning so well with these armies. Now Tato is bringing 3 monks forward, and Hera has to respect this. He can't take this fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Hera, he's happy with that, right? He sees all the army, he sees the monks. So the main question for me right now is, okay, I'm just looking at the stone, because usually as a Frank player, there are 2 options. Either you go for the light calf to snipe the monks, or you say, okay, I'm fine, I will defend my base with 3 castles all over the place, and then I will use all my knights for raiding purpose. But as we see, he's not really heavily on stone, so we see the light calf switch. And, Hera is one of the fastest players we have in the game. He excels in, being all over the place, Dave.
Or you just make so many knights that even if he converts every single month, you're fine. Right? Like, Hera's 43 on farms with handcart. Right now. It's absolutely insane, the economy that he's managed to get behind this. We got a knight raiding in the woodline there from Tato, slightly annoying. But the crossbows are still here for Hera, and he's got some light cab, like you mentioned. He snipes a monk, hasn't gotten a knight converted in his own base. The Eagle army is still formidable. I mean, he's got 30 Eagles, but against this composition from Hera, as Hera tries to snipe those remaining monks, it feels like Tato is just hitting a brick wall, and he's not able to go any further.
Yeah, this is just beautiful.
That's a massacre right there, man. That is an absolute massacre of Eagles.
Beautiful engagement by Hera. Like, that is the most effective fight he could have taken. And this is the big advantage of those crossbows, right? Because the monks, ideally, they want to stand there The Eagles block the Knights, and the Monks have a safe life there, doing their job. But with the crossbows, and all of a sudden the Monks have a huge threat. So you always have to pay attention to those Monks that they don't get sniped, and then that means the Knights are able to engage against the Eagles without any issues, and that's exactly what Hera has shown here. And I think Tato is very close to calling
Tato
it
can't
because-
deal with this army.
Yeah, no
he,
way.
he just calls it. He was adding a 4th and 5th barracks, I think, and he may be thinking about pikemen. He finally got up to 30 on food, but Hera has 53, and Hera was close to having like 53 knights pretty soon. If he adds a few extra sables, he could finish that in Castle Age without even thinking about Imperial.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Dave, yesterday when I played against Hera, I had a certain feeling. The feeling of you did it all, but he was better.
Inevitability.
Yeah, exactly. It was crazy. And now watching this game, there was one slight moment with the 600 gold and Fuel Age where I was like, maybe Hera is a little bit shaky.
Yeah.
But after that, after the market usage, like miraculously, he played so well, and that's exactly what he showed.
And I just felt like it was tough for Tato to get that Eagle Mass, especially with the advantage to Castle Age for Hera. Maybe if he had lamed that boar in the beginning, he would have had an advantage in terms of the food supply, and he could have a more competitive Castle Age. But instead, he loses the Eagle for free. He's forced to go for the Men-at-Arms blindly into the base from Hera. He doesn't fully see the wood line or anything. He doesn't know if Hera's on the gold at the front. He doesn't have a place to target. He recovered quite well from that, but Hera's macro and his build going up to Castle Age was insane.
Yeah, kind of remind me a little bit of Viper, because he's also very greedy, so to say, and he really prioritizes the economy upgrades all the time, trying to get the TCs up, and that's like scary. If you have your opposing player hand card and all the Castle Age upgrades, like in this tournament yesterday, for example, we saw a lot of instances where economy upgrades were missing, because it is, stressful out there. Like there's so much pressure, and it's hard to think about it all the time, especially when there's army fighting constantly. And therefore, if you keep calm and are capable of, playing your game, then it's very scary.
And that's you mentioned Hera being like the best defender in the game, and the thing that makes him the best defender, I think, is the judgment calls that he makes. Right? He doesn't invest into a technology until he absolutely needs it, and he gets punished sometimes for that. Like we talk about Viper getting punished for the greed. I think Hera gets punished less than Viper does, because Viper's greed is so outrageous sometimes. I'll just make 5 TCs and you can come at me. But Hera will do something like make those archers with no upgrades just to bring them to the woodline, because he knows the army from Tato is engaging him on the other side. Where he'll slowly wall behind, not make any scouts from his stables as he's on the way to Castle Age, because he knows that he can make a market wall in defense to keep Tato out. So we've got our next map. It's going to be Northern Isles from Tato. And this is an interesting civ selection here, because Tato has Dravidians, he's got Byzantines, Lithuanians also may be an option on this. You're smiling, so you probably know the strategy here. And Hera has Italians, and then what? Persians?
Persian, yeah.
I think Persians are Frigid Lake, right?
It has to be Italians. Like anything else would surprise me. Persians, I expect somewhere else, as you mentioned, Frigid Lake. Like on Hera, it is very clear. Also, before going into the first game, when we saw the civs, you had a very good image of what Hera is going to use on which map. But for Tato, like you look at it and you're like, YOLO. Yeah, you could use everything everywhere. But I obviously know what is going to happen, and I think we will enjoy.
Okay, so it's going to be Gauss?
We will enjoy.
We will enjoy, folks. That's the key here. So I'm looking at Tato civs, right? And I'm just kind of doing process of elimination. Frigid Lake, probably want to go for something like Byzantines or maybe Dravidians. Fish and Fish, I see the Japanese being picked there, because I don't see them being picked many other places here. And Lithuanians is good on all the other maps, especially the land maps, so I can't really see that as an option. It is interesting that Tato banned Saracens. It was funny, because he banned Saracens, and Jordan and I just kind of looked at each other and we were like, are you sure?
You mean Khmer, right? Like that Hera banned Khmer?
No, Tato banned Saracens. And then Hera banned Khmer, yeah.
Okay, crazy. Was not paying attention. Yeah, so, and if you look at the drafts here, like 4 civs could be picked on Northern Isle for Tato, right? Dravidians, Lithuanians, and Japanese, Byzantines, like, it's so hard for Hera to anticipate what Tato is going for.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Does he go for Japanese on Northern Isles? and then he goes for Byzantines on Frigid Lake, and then he goes for Dravidians on Fish and Fish, and we see the same thing that DauT did.
It could definitely be an option.
It could definitely be an option. We've heard it here first from his teammate. It could definitely be an option. He didn't smile so much after that, though, and that's usually what gives it away when you know something.
Yeah. Well, when am I not smiling? Like,
yeah, it's
true.
hard. Even when you're losing.
Yeah.
The only time you're not smiling is when you're winning because you feel sad for your opponent. That's just like, that's how good of a person Jordan is. Like, he feels sad, he feels guilty smiling, right?
Like,
but when he's losing, he's happy for them. It's weird.
Yeah. No, it's like
gamer.
winning is tough.
Yeah.
Like, winning is tough. It's. I
You
cannot take it
know what
emotionally.
position they're in, right?
Yeah.
And you know the
I've been
feelings that they're going through. Exactly.
I've been there often.
Man, it was funny. I was talking to DauT yesterday we were having a drink at the hotel bar, and I said, another drink at a hotel bar? And he's like, yep, another loss. He's like, I've been to every hotel bar in Germany.
It's just so funny with him, right?
Yeah.
Because he's playing so well. Like, for me yesterday, he was one of the best players.
He didn't deserve, for the quality of that set, he did not deserve to go out in a quarterfinal.
No.
But that's the way it works, right?
No, especially also against MBL against me, he just smashed us. But yeah, let's jump into the game.
It is Goss for Tato. It is Goss. This is not a drill, folks. You are indeed watching a $100,000 Age of Empires 2 tournament here at DreamHack, and it is Goss. And Tato has immediately landed a villager. Hera has to load up into this game and be like, what? The thing with Hera is that you know that there's a landing coming.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so unlikely, even with Tato, that the Goths are going to play water. You already see the scout. The timing of the landing is going to be what's going to throw you off, right? Because Tato could theoretically have landed the scout here, but it's unlikely at this stage of the game he's already going to have a villager, but Hera's doing the double check.
Yeah.
Hera's doing the double check, and Tato saw that scout loop back that way. Unfortunately for Tato, he already has a house, so that's a dead giveaway that there's a villager.
Crazy. And like, thinking about it, Hera was about to push in deer. Like, he wanted to go for the ultimate greed here.
Yep.
And the way he reacted, he saw the scout of Tato and be like, if there's a scout, there's a it's very likely that there's going to be a villager as well. As you mentioned, Dave, he's golf, right? He's not going to sit back and play a chill game. So exactly, Hera sees that. And now everything Tato was hoping for didn't really work out, right?
Yeah, Tato's loading back into that transport ship. Of course, Goss get Loom instantly, which is fantastic for this approach, right? You can send that villager over. You're not really losing TC idle time. And Hera, I think, wisely chose not to attack that villager with his scout because the villager was already loomed.
Yep.
And he doesn't want to have Tato with an alive scout on his own island, and then he's got a weak one. And Tato just drops that villager back off and starts to make a barracks. Is it going to be a drush here, Jordan? That's what it kind of implies with that timing, or is it going to be more of a men-at-arms push?
Yeah, it's going to be a drush. That's exactly what you kind of hope for as golf, right? The militia are a little bit cheaper there, so you can apply the pressure.
He hasn't gone for a dock either. No dock for Tato.
Because,
I guess he has no wood because of the drush.
Exactly. The idea is that you are capable of sniping at least one dock, one boar, right? With Goff, you kill the boar a bit faster. They deal more damage, the villagers, to the boars. So that is the idea behind. And if the opponent doesn't have the access to the boar, it delays their fuel age timing quite heavily.
But it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened at all. And now Tato is going for a dock. And unfortunately for Tato, that's right by the transport ship from Hera. So Hera might actually find that. He can't see it right now.
Yeah.
But if he goes the... Oh, no, he's already come from that direction. So it's unlikely.
Yeah.
Very sneaky from Tato there.
It would really surprise me if Hera goes to left, because as you said, like, left-hand side has been scouted, so the natural thing would be to go to the right-hand side. And the good thing for Hera as well is that he has more HP on his scout than Tato has on his. So that is beautiful. So Tato right now, he's trying to deal some damage with those militia onto the scout. It is nice value, yes, but does it justify the investment? I don't think so, Dave.
Yeah, Hera's going to know that Tato didn't open with a dock because of the barracks, but I think he'll suspect, like, Tato knows the value of fish, Hera knows the value of fish. He'll suspect another sneak dock. It's just when he actually finds it. The advantage for Hera right now, the fact that he has 3 fishing ships, and Tato just made his first one, just started working. Also the fact that he's up to feudal age so much quicker, has the ability to maybe drop a defensive tower or go into archers of his own, or does he choose to just repair this, kind of soak the damage and continue maybe adding fish or adding some water units?
I'm really curious how Hera is going to approach it. So usually when you're landed like that, you want to go archers yourself just to be safe at home, because if you don't deal with that, then there is too much potential pressure which could come from your opponent. So you have to deal it, right? And Hera is exactly doing that, adding a barrack now, so we will see an archer range coming. However, on the meanwhile, he will also add some fire galleys just to keep on the pressure on the water. And that's also very easy to do, because if you go for water, you have wood, gold economy anyway. So going for a little bit of archers, it's not going to hurt you at all.
I just wonder, when Hera brings his transport ship back, after his first few archers, if he doesn't see an imminent threat from this army, do you keep the archers there to clear that up? Do you send the first 2 or 3 archers over to your opponent's base?
Like, it's hard to give a right answer on that one. I personally love to always put on the aggression as well, because players struggle with like a lot of things at once, right? And if you're especially playing aggressive, then you don't want to think about defensive things. Like, you want to be as aggressive that your opponent is forced to defend all the time. And therefore, I think sending 1-2 archers is the best way to do it. But also, you have to have high APM. You need to be able to run away from villages, and that's really
I don't think Hera really has that. So maybe he doesn't go for that strategy.
Yeah. Like DauT would do it, right, Dave? Yeah. But Hera, no.
So there's the archer range from Hera. He hasn't really taken any damage. It's funny, too, because in this tournament, players have been deciding not to lame. I think because of the 9-villager start, kind of laming has less effectiveness. So far, 2 games, Tato lands with the intention of laming the board, doesn't find it.
Yep.
Tato is laming the stone, and at some point, Tato will likely lame those ibex that have been running around his army for very long. Hera, just playing standard, and Hera definitely has an advantage here, and he is looping around with that fire galley, so he will eventually find that fish. But Tato going for a forward dock here, right adjacent to the forward dock from Hera. They're going to be awfully surprised when they find each other.
Yeah. And overall, like, that is Tato's strategy, right? Tato wants to make the game very wild, because
Goths are 1-0 overall. Yo beat Dragonstar on Arena. What?
Didn't Mr. Yo played Goth, no? Against Dragonstar.
That's what it just said on our update there.
Okay, nice.
That's why I was so surprised. I was speechless. I was like, on Arena?
Yeah, it's quite hilarious, yeah. Maybe I go for underrated, right? But anyway, so Tato, I think he feels very comfortable putting Hera into situations which are like extremely out of the comfort zone, extremely chaotic, and that's exactly what he's pursuing here. While Hera, he loves it when everything is standard, when everything is normal. That's literally where he excels the most, right? And so Tato goes into this with a clear game plan, but I would say Hera has defended perfectly so far, and he was on point with everything, so he definitely has the advantage here.
I like the fact that Tato still has 5 fishing ships, albeit they were pretty late. I like the fact that he didn't rush his way up to Feudal Age, right? So when he gets to Feudal Age, he's going to have enough to click up. He might actually click up around the same time or slightly before Hera. He does have cheaper Castle Age with Italians.
Yep.
And Tato has the forward docks too, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him shift more onto a water focus here once he has the option to make some fires or some demos to, we know Tato, to snipe those fish. And so far, he's kept the archers at home with his militia. However, he must know that those archers will soon be heading over towards his island once he gets everything cleared up.
Exactly. And now Hera gets the confirmation that Tato indeed is on water. He sees the dock here. And now the most important thing in Hera's situation is, what is the decision he's going to make? Is he investing further into archers? Is he going to commit completely on water? So that's going to be very hard for him. And that's why on Northern Isles, the landing part is such a big factor, because it forces your opponent to, make the right decisions. And that's not easy.
Yeah, Tato walling up. He knows the archers are coming over eventually. I think Hera also has to remember, Tato saved his sneak villager in that transport ship, and I think he just unloaded it at the back of Hera's island there, at the very, very top. So he's waiting for Castle Age, and then once you're in Castle Age, potential siege workshop could be concerning. Maybe a stable over there could also be concerning. And Hera has to keep that in the back of his mind, that it's still a possibility. He hasn't killed the transport ship yet from Tato. So there's still a threat.
Yeah, and this is also one of the reasons why I find this map exciting, because of the land shenanigans, right? If it's completely water, then obviously it's getting a little bit stalematey on the very high level. But this way, like, there's so much action all over the place, and you know, in terms of decision making, I feel like this map is one of the hardest to, you know, be really perfect in the execution here.
I think it's also like there's so many strategies, there's not a perfect meta.
Yeah.
You know, because they, at the end of the day, they could land you early. You could even see something like a Persian douche or something on this map, you know, because of the transport ship. If someone wanted to go really aggressive, there's so many opportunities open to you, and people sometimes get stuck in the water element of it, but there is the landing element as well. As Tato got a good demo there against the Scout and against the Fire Galley, but Hera has so much population around this dock, and Hera's Castle Age time is only 30 seconds behind Tato's.
Exactly, and I'm pretty sure nice demo shot here, damaging a lot of Fire Galleys, or 2 Fire Galleys there. However, that is kind of what Tato was hoping for.
Back of Hera's base. Interesting from Tato. Also, the fact that Hera has not found the dock at the back from Hera, or from Tato. Hera has not discovered that, right? So Tato has been fishing this entire time. I think Hera thought that Tato's first stock was the one he saw at the front.
Yeah. And that's exactly because Hera, you know, he just passed it in the early stages of the game and didn't spot it. So obviously, he doesn't have the full picture. Obviously, he will assume that there is something happening there because you want to have fish on this map. Are you serious?
I heard you wanted a TC there, bro.
Are you serious?
Not gonna happen, sorry.
What?
And he's already walled in the stone on the other side, so Hera can't get a TC on that, but Hera's wisely house walling around there, so he's making a little stone colony there to make sure he gets safe access to that. Tato also TCing a stone on the other side. He's got the War Galley upgrade, so he can be very annoying with the potentially the dock at the back, potentially the dock on his own island, and he's going for a Siege Workshop forward on Hera's island as Hera continues to control the middle of the water on this map. Hera also adding up to 10 fishing ships, so he's really capitalizing on his water control.
Crazy. Like, Hera is playing a beautiful game here. I think his economy is looking very strong. Look at that. A lot of food. He has a lot of golden bank as well. And people might say, this is a very unbalanced here. But the huge thing is, Italians, they have redemption. And against a Siege Workshop push, you love to have Monk Redemption. It's like the perfect counter for that, and Hera will not struggle with that at all due to the gold bank he has. And with those 2 knights, he's going to be very annoying as well. Like, Tato doesn't have really proper defense against this, Dave.
I like the way he walled up, though, Tato. He didn't overinvest in the walls. Obviously, you can't wall to the edge of the water because of that rocky terrain. He kind of did the split version, and right now he's got no exposed villagers on the right side, and he can just go for a few quick walls on this side. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have that many villagers in that TC, and Hera is probably going to snipe this. No! He doesn't snipe, and he loses probably both knights here, so good defense from Tato.
Very good defense here by Tato, and Hera, you know, is like very annoying to play against because, you know, many players would have sent the 2 knights in there and be like YOLO, but he's paying attention to those all the time here. Also 1 knight cleaning up the militia here, and now, you know, the knight has a lot of scouting potential. Let's see if Hera is going to utilize this one.
So, if you're Tato, you have your transport ship here. Can you load up your siege and then drop it off on the other side? Because it's really tough to push around those wood lines, especially the way that Hera set up the houses and the fact that Hera has water control. So if you go along the shoreline, you're probably going to get sniped. I wonder if he can get 2 mangonels, or the 3 that he has right now, load them up in the transport ship, and then bring them all the way to the other side to start pressuring the TC from the other angle.
I'm laughing because, like, I would never even come to this mind, Dave. And usually you don't want to do that, right?
Because you're away from your production buildings, right?
Exactly.
The angle. I feel like the angle pushing into Hera is so bad there.
I agree. And with the suggestion you gave, a huge, you know, positive thing would be that your opponent doesn't really know where the Siege Workshop is, right? So there is a surprise factor as well. So maybe in the future we will see something like that. I will keep it in mind, Dave.
Redemption is coming in Sanctity.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to, like, the way this woodline is set up, you can't go along the shoreline. There's Navy there. You can't risk it with your mangonels. The mangonels are attacking this TC. There can be a monk hiding behind the woodline. You're going to bump up against each other. Probably one of your mangonels is going to get converted unless you delete it. It's just a fantastic location here from Hera. And he's already got 3 knights. And there's only 2 monks there from Tato. So unless Tato is super on the ball with the conversions and gets pretty lucky here, it feels like Hera can take this eventually, but he's running away for now.
Yeah, and also good reaction by Hera. I thought like he had Sanctity in already, but he did not, and therefore he was able to save the Mongan. Is the conversion happening? No. Hera decides to retreat here, but the thing is, Tato is not really capable of putting on the aggression, and that is so good for Hera because of the economy. Look at that. He has 16 economy units more than Tato right now, and if we think about the late game, I always prefer having Italians on water compared to Goth.
Really, you prefer Italians over Goths on water?
I think so. Like,
amazing insight from my wonderful bro.
Good that you joined me in casting.
Exactly. This is why you're paid the big bucks. This is why we wanted you here.
That's why I'm out in the quarterfinals.
Yep. Also, this position from Tato, there's only one stone over there. There's no golds on that side of the island, just one stone. So what is he really securing here? He's going to go for an attack round, maybe with the Mangonels. He doesn't go for the conversions immediately, and the monks are going to get taken out, and those Mangonels are basically free now. Hera is going to be able to snipe all of these down, and even the sneak villager there, which is desperately trying to finish that market, isn't going to complete it. Oh boy, this is rough for Tato. He's going to try. Oh, nice attack round there.
And that was a beautiful clear up by Hera. I mean, he's kind of assumed that Tato was not really paying attention here.
Look at how annoying
it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, he's so much on point here. And I would say, you know, Hera, just a perfect reaction to what Tato threw at him right there. And if you look at the overall situation, Tato, he obviously abandoned the landing, and he's fully focusing on the water right now.
He killed 10 fish. It's not bad. I mean, he redocked twice in the center there. We saw that earlier. He killed 10 fish from Hera, so Hera not really using that food eco anymore, but he's got plenty of farms set up in a classic Hera fashion, right? 23 farms to back that up, and he's adding even more right now. Tato is banking his way towards a castle, though, and Hera, once again, 1,900 gold!
1,900 gold. So you can see, like, it's very chaotic, and like, it's obviously not perfect for him, but you can utilize the market and then everything looks a little bit better. Dave, for me, the main question is, will we see Hussars this game?
Will we see Hussar? Well, I guess it depends if Tato... like, Hussar happens from Hera if he gets full water control and then lands.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep.
And with Tato, if Hera gets full water control, Tato's likely tapping out.
Yeah, most likely.
So.
Yeah. I heard Italians are better than Golf on water, so it's going to be very tough for him. Very nice for Hera, obviously, to find that backdock here. So 4 fishing boats are down, and 84 economy units for Tato. We have 94 for Hera. Hera on his way to Imperial Age, 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining. And now obviously the question is going to be, what is Hera going to do? I think it's going to be water on the front.
I don't see an excuse for anything but water.
Yeah.
Maybe transport the monks over and you bring them to the middle with a couple villagers. Maybe that's where you put your fish castle. I think Hera is a little bit late to stone, but
well, 100%. Yeah.
It was walled in, and then his other stone was under pressure. So it was really tough for him to clear up the walls effectively and then send the villagers up to that stone that was under threat from the Mangonels. But here come the monks. A couple knights as well. The castle will be up from Tato, so he's going to be able to defend on that side. He's pushing back with some fires, but Hera, 40 seconds away from Imperial Age, also getting infantry upgrades, so might come with some condos.
Yeah, exactly. And handcard in already as well. Like, Hera seems to be very on point. On the other side, we have Tato, you know, he will go up to Imperial Age now as well, so he's roughly 3 minutes behind Hera here. So Hera has a little advantage here, landing with the barracks, so we will see condos for sure. However, Tato sees it, and he will be able to defend with the castle and some infantry.
Tato going for a stable there? I think
that's
Tato
a barrack.
was going for the stable.
Oh, Tato?
On the left side, yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. Stable, and he's getting Bodkin now. Still has not clicked up to Imperial Age, though, and only 33 on food, too, so... Trying to produce from 3 TCs. Oh, Imp is coming in. Never mind. I'm blind. Thank you, Vodka. Thank you so much.
The thing is also, Hera, like, Tato doesn't really know how many villagers Hera has sent over. Never mind my thought. I will not go into the depth here what I was thinking, but okay, we see Hera with
You
the
were
forward
thinking
cast.
he doesn't know if there's going to be a castle there. Well, he does now because there's a house.
Yeah,
from
thank you.
Tato.
That's exactly what I
That's what
wanted
makes you
to
good.
say.
Yep, that's why you're here, Jordan.
Yeah.
Nice demo from Tato.
Yeah.
Getting value against the Fast Fires. Fast Fires is such a big upgrade, though, over the regular Fire Ship. And
Yeah.
Hera's just going to continue this advance. He sees all the docks from Tato. Tato trying to build 2 more. Has a castle there to support, but Hera has a castle on Tato's island. Could say that that castle on Tato's island may be a little bit aggressive. Maybe you could put that in the middle instead, and it accomplishes essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
And then go for that castle in the long term, but
Yeah.
I mean, Hera's so far ahead right now that
Yeah, I think Hera senses that he has a huge lead, and therefore he wanted to really force the issue. I don't think the landing itself is going to be the most successful one, but it is going to force Tato to react to it. And in the meanwhile, Hera will take control of water. I'm pretty sure about that, and he's going to be in a good position. If you look at the overall stat, we have 117 population for Tato. On the other side, we have Hera with 160. Chemistry is coming in as well with the last armor upgrade. So overall, Hera, he's comfortable with his position he's in right now.
yeah, and he adds another castle on that side. I was going to say if there's an opportunity for Tato, it's probably landing some villagers over on that side of Hera's island, but he's identified that as well, and he's going to take that possibility away from Tato. Longsword also coming in from Tato. I also noticed Horse Collar just being researched from Tato, so a lot of those farms are going to be expiring. It's going to be really tough to keep up the production, keep your wood count up there, and keep that food coming in.
Exactly. How many dogs does he have in the front? I think it's only 4 or 5, so that's going to be very hard for Tato to keep everything at the spot. Like, he needs to do everything at once, like defend the landing, try to gain control of the water, so it's going to be so tough.
Oh boy, and there's 5 monks there, plus a castle defending this position. Tato comes in, he's gonna try and demo the monks. He can't quite reach the Trebs, maybe. Takes a little bit of HP off of that, but Hera is pushing from both sides with Fast Fire. He's got block printing for his monks. He saved them inside the castle. There's no units left from Tato to convert even, and the condos are coming in. I think Tato has to call it here. Hera playing fantastic. Tato with the Goss, maybe a little bit of a questionable strategy coming over with that initial village.
I have to say, like, when we had the preparation talks, and Tato said, yeah, I'm gonna go for Goff here, DauT was like, he was, what? He picked that in practice against DauT, and DauT didn't want to practice it. We're like, a proper practice, and he's picking Goff here. Yeah, but that's Tato, right? He likes to make those crazy strategies. And I was thinking about it. I think Goff have a lot of potential, but at the early stage, a lot of things have to go right.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit luck dependent, right?
You have to land on the right side of the island, too. If he lands right beside a boar, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Denies that food from Hera, and then he can build the barracks. Unfortunately, Hera saw his scout immediately, and then Hera didn't follow the scout. He's like, I wonder what else came along here. Because initially, when you see Goss, you know there's going to be something off meta. So
Has to be.
Your immediately warning signals are going off in your head, and Hera did the correct thing and checked.
Yeah, Goff is just, worse than other civs in terms of like economical advantages early on. So they have to try to make something happen. Unfortunately for Tato, he wasn't able to do so. We look at the overall stats, 2-0 for Hera, and Hera has a lot of home maps for him still. So, and we must not forget it was Tato's first home map. So that's the one which he wanted for sure. I'm sure, Hera is going to be very confident about
Do you
that.
think Tato was just trying to do too much there? Like, Tato versus Hera on water, with the better water civilizations, the meta water civilizations, or maybe, like, Italians is great. Don't get me wrong, Italians is great water civilization. But against something like Byzantines or Japanese, I think they're kind of like 1-1. They're kind of on near the same level anyway.
Yeah.
Tato probably could have taken it with a more meta civ.
Pretty sure. I think Tato was just like, Goff is going to work, and Hera won't expect it.
Yeah.
So you have the surprising factor, which is also not to underestimate in these areas here, like with the big stage with so much pressure on.
Yeah.
Like, the pressure can get into you, and then all of a sudden decision making is not on point anymore, and that's usually where Tato is thriving.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's what he was hoping for, but that didn't happen. Hera was playing solid.
So we have Fish and Fish coming up next. I've been notified, and that is Tato's second home map here. So he's not doing the DauT Leary thing where they're picking each other's home maps, which I thought was great, right? It's a little bit of a mind game. We're going to beat you on your home map.
Yeah. Take that.
And Fish and Fish, Tato has Japanese available to him. He also has Dravidians, which we saw yesterday, and he also has Lithuanians, which we saw yesterday as well. And a really good performance with Lithuanians yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Lithuanians and Dravidians and Japanese, all three of them are maybe the top 3, top 4 civilizations on Fish and Fish, right? So Tato is extremely solid in that regard.
Yep.
And on the other side, we see, Hera, he picked Mongols very fast. I've never seen Hera picking Mongols that fast. So Mongols was definitely for Fish and Fish, no question about it.
That's nice.
Got sniped. So if I look at it, I would go for Burmese.
I would say Burmese as
Burmese.
well. I think Burmese with the extra attack, like if you're going to make a lot of spearmen, you get the free wood upgrade.
Yeah.
And then you're going to make a lot of spearmen. The game usually ends in Feudal Age, is when it's usually decided. It might go to Castle, but it's decided in Feudal Age. You get the +1 attack, and you get that on your men-at-arms as well.
Exactly.
So I think there's a lot of synergy there for Burmese, and your opponent is going to really struggle to keep up with that.
Yeah.
Now, are they better than the civs that Tato has? Question mark. Also, is there any other civ here that Hera could really go with? I know I mentioned Poles yesterday, and Nili and I were figuring out if you want to go for a YOLO villager push with Poles and have the Bill War early, your villagers heal, you should theoretically win that. But then Nili brought up the fact that it's so hard to fit the full work in between the 4 fish, right? So you got to find the perfect area.
Yeah. So I don't really see Poles on this map. Like, if I look at the draft, like, it has to be Burmese. And you know what I'm thinking? I don't think that Hera is like, okay, I have to win Fish and Fish. I prioritize Fish and Fish in terms of my civilization and my draft.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a throwaway, it feels to me. And Burmese is super solid, as you mentioned. And the normal opening on Fish and Fish is usually you try to have civs like Mongols or Khmer, which are able to up extremely fast to go archers, or you go for men-at-arm push. Japanese does it. Dravidians do it. And Burmese, with the +1, hallelujah.
Fine. Yeah, and they get the free wood upgrade.
Exactly.
You don't have to spend your food and your wood on that, so that's fantastic. You get it instantly, too, as soon as you hit Feudal Age.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Hera decides to go with here. I know at the Shisha Bar the other day, I was talking with Hera and DauT and Leary, and he was saying, Burmese are actually so good. They're way better than people think. So I'm not surprised to see that in the Civ draft. And here we go. Burmese for Hera and Tato going with the Dravidians. And we saw the Dravidian strat the other day with DauT going for the double barracks men-at-arms, which is surprising. But I feel like Hera could go for something similar. I know the 200 wood is going to help Tato. The wood upgrade is going to help Hera, not quite as much as Tato, maybe later on in the game.
Yep.
And the +1 attack is going to help Hera, but the cheaper upgrade to men-at-arms is going to help Tato in that. So it'll be interesting.
Extremely. However, the kind of the counter to what DauT did yesterday with the skirm men-at-arms is if you go men-at-arms fully yourself.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Like, you don't care. You don't care about the skirms there. You force your opponent to either commit even heavier to men-at-arms or he wants to go archers there. So, but then again, Hera would have a lot of time to react to that. And with Burmese against Dravidians, like, the more I think about it, Dave, the more I like Burmese. Not gonna lie, because with the wood or the food saved from the wood upgrade, you have a lot of potential early on in the front. And both players are in the middle, right? So they are very committed, and the shortfish is just so massive because it's much faster food source compared to other resources on the map.
Yeah, I think it was JMB. It was your tournament series where we introduced this map, and I think people were going for the dock at first.
Yeah.
And then they figured out quite quickly that the dock is just a good way to lose if someone goes for the middle.
Exactly. And that's what I love about this map, because on the top you have the deer, in the middle you have the shorefish, and in the south you have all the fish but with shallows, right? And it's super tough to come up with the perfect decision here, but I think the meta is heavily going onto the shortfish after hundreds of games, so that's what we're seeing here, both players doing, and they're going to be exactly the same in terms of the uptime.
Yep.
both with 19 population.
Look at the barracks timing for Hera is quite late, so Hera is not going for men-at-arms here, or at least he shouldn't be. Tato already having the barracks up. Is Hera going for like a archer approach?
He will go archers.
Okay, and I
We'll go
wonder,
archers.
because he's not really committing on the middle, I wonder if he's just going to abandon that area, build up his archers, kind of wall his base, and then push out if Tato is going to hard commit onto the men-at-arms. But then Tato can just add skirmishers with that too. So it's the look of consternation on Jordan's face right now. He's very confused. I'm sure you wouldn't like playing up against this strategy because you would be just questioning what's going on all the time.
I would be like, when we didn't see the barrack from Hera, I was very surprised by that. And giving up the middle just like that is risky, let's say it like that, because it can snowball extremely, extremely fast. And Tato is going to be able there to spot those. He is not going to be able to block as the HP on the scout has decreased quite heavily. And what? That's so huge.
That's a nice snipe there. That's a nice snipe from Hera. I think he was like one hit away from death.
Yeah.
He manages to kill the scout from Tato. Now Tato denying the archery range, which is also massive here. Hera already going for Spearman, those Spearmen benefiting from the +1 attack from the Burmese, and Hera is forced to go for another archer range. He still doesn't have an archer on the map here, Jordan, as Tato already has a second skirm on the way, and Tato has wisely sent more villagers forward. Every villa you need on food, just send it to the middle. You have map control right now.
Exactly. And, you know, also got to keep in mind the villagers of Dravidians, they carry 25 food instead of 10, so they're going to be very effective in terms of the travel time. And if we look at the overall army size, 6 against 2, Dave. So this is not looking too good. Also, usually if your opponent goes for skirms, you want to add a stable.
Did Hera go for a stable at the back there?
I would.
At the back of Hera's
I don't
base?
think so. I think it was a mill. He does not have the food income to sustain the scout production. And the Dravidians...
Yes, yeah. He went for a stable. I think it was a mill. This is why we have you on. Thank you, Jordan, for being here, by the way.
You want to carry on alone?
Yes, I'll carry on alone. Don't worry, I'll give you a minute to recover.
God.
As Tato continues to push in, and I think the key to this strategy is that you're not just going all in men-at-arms, right? You're going men-at-arms with skirms. So you have something to counter the counter to men-at-arms, which is traditionally archers. But now adding in the scouts, Hera potentially has a unit to help against those skirmishers. However, he's so late to this. Like, Tato already has the momentum coming forward here. He's trying to snipe the villagers. Hera has managed to trap in the archers and the skirmishers. He's got archers and villagers focusing down those units, and he hasn't... Well, he's lost one villager so far, right, in this engagement. He's going to lose the second one.
It's 2. Yeah, now it's 2.
Oh, don't come back with that, Bill. Wow, he manages to save it. He clears up the army, and the scouts are out now.
Crazy. So 2 villagers go down, yes, but is this... Oh, 1 HP. 1 HP.
Oh, that's total Hera move.
That was dicey. But yeah, nice defense by Hera, trapping the army in. That was obviously very effective, but... You know, Tato is fine with those trades.
He's got the
He has
fish.
the middle.
Yeah, he's got the fish.
He can produce the army like there's no tomorrow. So
And Hera has 6 on food, and he's trying to make scouts.
exactly. So, yeah, adding the stable is questionable. I
Also-
will remain with my comment.
Also, we have to point out here, as Tato had 8 villagers queued, you can see the food disparity between these two players, right? Still 2 vills queued, 2 spearmen. He's got 300 food in the bank.
Yeah.
Tato did get supplies.
Yeah.
He hasn't produced any more men-at-arms, but he did get supplies in case he needs it. Great snipe there from Hera on that villager. Tower is going to go up there, and Hera is going to need to leave this position. Hera is still struggling for military numbers. Hell, he's struggling to produce villagers at the moment.
Yeah, it's super tough for him right now. I mean, he is forced to do farms, and that's not what you want to do on this map. Tato, we will not see a farm from him for a long, long time, as he has the full middle control, and I think there's around 3,000 food, so no, Dave, you can do a lot of things with that amount, so... Yeah, that's pretty good.
Tato getting infantry armor. He sees the archers from Hera, and he's like, you know what would be good against this? Men-at-arms.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Exactly. And, you know, if you have upgraded supplies already, it makes sense to go for that.
Yeah, if you have all the food in the center, you only have to keep a couple on gold, as you see from Tato. Only 2 villagers on gold.
Yeah.
can keep producing.
Yeah, and now also this fight should be heavily in favor for Tato, I would assume. Like, I don't know. It just overall the economy feels smoother for Tato, but gotta give a lot of credit to Hera as well because he's done an amazing job defending here, even though it looked very dicey at one point, Dave.
Okay, scouts are coming in, and Hera's kind of blocking those units. Both scouts fold at exactly the same moment, though, and Tato still keeping Hera inside his base. And like you said, Tato can afford to trade away his armies for equal numbers with Hera because he has access to all of that fish in the center, and he still has 350 food in the bank, 3 men-at-arms in the queue, as well as 3 villagers. Hera, just 1 villager, 2 archers, and he's still at the limit with most resources.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing for Tato, his Dravidians, the skirms fire faster as well. I think it's 25% if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, but Hera, like with his micro and, you know, just overall the army
Doing Hera
usage,
things, yeah.
He's doing Hera things. And all of a sudden, we see the army numbers equalized. Neither player is on water, so it is full focus here in the middle, and the work efficiency will heavily go down here for Tato, that's for sure.
Yeah, Hera doing an excellent job with his scouts, too. I question, like, Tato just adding in more men-at-arms and more men-at-arms because they're never catching up to the scouts. They're just getting sniped down by the archers. Hera has 7 archers now. That's a pretty big group, and he's adding the scouts in front. It feels like the men-at-arms will never get an equal engagement against them. Sure, they're cheap, and Tato's already teched into everything for them, but I think he needs to cut that production and shift more onto skirmishers, more onto archers.
I agree. I think the most important element which is missing in Tato's army right now is the archers. We see the wood upgrade coming in now.
He's going for a dock, too.
He's going for dock?
He's
wow.
expanding the edges there, and he's the player playing scouts. If Tato wants to punish the fishing ships over there, it's going to be a very long walk.
Exactly.
So that's a great heads-up play from Hera. He knows he doesn't have the fish in the middle. He's just trying to bring himself back here. He knows he's behind economically to Tato. Gonna probably be behind in the age-up click, but he's still keeping himself in it. Look at the army count here, and Hera was so late to army without the fish. He still has 16.
Yeah, beautiful gameplay by Hera. And Hera already has forging in. And look at that army. He can easily jump on that army, honestly. But Hera decides not to do so. And I guess, yeah, okay, I was about to say, he wants to wait for Bloodlines. Once Bloodlines is in, he will fully commit onto the middle. And Dave, if Tato loses the middle, he will lose the game because that's the only food income he has right now.
I think when Tato clicks up here, he needs to do 2 things. He needs to keep his army in the center, keep him protecting the villas, and keep adding military to keep those numbers up, right? Spearmen are going to be very important against those scouts, and skirmishers are going to be very important for the archers, and you really have to be careful with the way you path because you don't want your skirmishers running into those scouts and the spearmen running into the archers.
Exactly.
So pull your villagers back from the exposed positions, keep adding military as you're up to the castle age. Hera getting the armor, though, on these scouts, and these scouts are going to be very powerful soon.
Yeah, I think both players know exactly the situation they are in. Hera expects the fast castle now from Tato, and now we see the engagement.
Yeah, scouts looping in there, taking 1 skirmisher. Tato playing pretty safe. Hera kind of threatening the main base from Tato for a second because he knew he couldn't dive onto the villagers on the box turtles in the middle. Also keeping Tato's army away from his fish and his eco at home, which is pretty valuable here. And Harris has 3 scouts in the queue. If Tato is not careful, Jordan, and he loses track of this army, he could lose a whole lot of villagers very quickly.
Oh, 100%. Tato is on point, though, with the reactions, but no, there is a moment, a time where it's just too late for Hera to make something happen, and that is when the castle age hits. And we are 40 seconds away from that.
He needs to time it perfectly.
Exactly.
Like, if he can get somehow these scouts over to those villagers in the middle, it could be an absolute bloodbath. But I think he's assuming that there's no vills left over in the middle there as he takes a big engagement, trying to snipe down the spearmen. But the scouts are dying at the front. The men-at-arms are still finding value. Skirmishers from Tato only targeting the archers from Hera. And if this isn't clean trade, if this is an even trade with Tato having Castle Age coming in right now, it looks good for the Spaniard. And he still has access to the stuff on the center. He's still got army on the field right now. Tato doing everything he needs to do to win this one.
Yeah, that was
Hera's on the shorefish though in the middle, right?
Is he?
He's got more scouts, and these are fully upgraded scouts, but that's a
lot
mob.
of villagers.
That's a mob.
You don't wanna take that fight here as a scout. And yeah, overall army size 10 to 17, and we're talking about a guy who has a full age up compared to his opponent, right? So it just looks so good for Tato. And the fight they took was literally the best which Tato could have taken. So he is very, very happy with that fight. And now he has the map control. He has also crossbows on the way. Even elite skirms as part of his unit composition. And those villagers, Dave, they are very strong as well.
Yeah, and they're a little bit expendable for Tato right now. As long as he clears up the numbers, he's got the upgrades with his army, right? So he can afford to give up a few villagers. Hera is now 10 villagers ahead, and he's still going to continue to hold on. He also has 6 fishing ships, so Hera's eco is pretty good. But the question is, when does he click up to Castle Edge? I don't think he can win this game with just scouts.
I look at it, and I see that Tato really struggles with the food. Like, the 16 villagers he has there, I think, are the only villagers he has on food. So this is very problematic for Tato. So in theory, if Hera continues doing such a good job with the micro, there is potential because we only see 5 crossbows on the field currently.
Also, like, credit to Hera, we haven't mentioned it yet, but the farming, building up the farm count from him was insane. And that's the reason he's able to do what he's doing right now. Tato's still trying to snipe archers. He's got a decent amount of crossbows, but now they're being whittled down by the scouts. He's finding it really, really tough to mass that. He has relocated his fishermen and fisherwomen over to that side, so he's going to be bringing in more food. But Tato also needs to start adding in farms here for when those box turtles run out or when Hera kicks them off that area.
Oh, for sure. And now we see even a tower being built by Hera. So with that tower, he's going to take a little bit of the front map control here on his base. And honestly, I see even a world where Hera can make things happen in Fuel Age just because of the fact that his
look at Tato's economy. Yeah, it's so bare bones.
Crazy.
If Hera ever gets enough scouts, and I think he's got 3 stable production, right?
Yeah.
If he gets enough to hold this army and then sends like 5 over to Tato's base, it's going to be over there. Like, Tato will lose so many villagers. There's no walls in sight. He's got 1 farm, and Hera even added a second dock, and Hera has 9 fishing ships now. Wow. With towers and Hera's pulled himself into a really competitive position here.
Oh, 100%, yeah. The thing which is problematic for, okay, never mind, we have an engagement here, but the tower will come up in time, so that's not going to be a threat. And now with those archers, they are going to be so annoying as well. Tato tags up into Spikemen. So obviously that is going to be a beautiful unit for Tato to counter those scouts, but the archers are going to cause so much damage.
Tato feels like he needs to do damage.
Yeah.
He knows Hera's eco is insane. He sees the score right now. He probably suspects there's a dock. He can do nothing about it, though. And Hera has found himself some freedom with those scouts, because I think this army at the back from Tato is going to run into the tower at Hera also, raiding the villagers at the back, and Hera is now in a winning position behind an age, and without the middle control, Hera is absolutely insane with adding his economy and getting himself to where he is right now. And now he's stalling out production. He's going to go up to Castle Edge. Oh my God.
Dave, what are we witnessing?
That's crazy.
I mean, Hera was in a position where I was like, okay, he's 100% dead. I thought this was a 12-minute game. And all of a sudden, we see Hera with a lot of potential to
He's going to hit the vills on the middle with the scouts, I think.
Yeah, and that is literally the main food source for Tato here. And yeah, he's going back with those scouts though, so he wants to clean this army. I think it would have been a little bit better for Hera to go for the middle to snipe the villagers on the shorefish, but he just wants to be safe here. So yeah, he wants to defend here.
So if you're in Tato's position, what's your next? You kind of let the game slip away. You're starting to realize you've let the game slip away. You're exploring the back of Hera's base, and you're like, crap. And you see the score, which indicates a dock. You can't do anything really about the dock currently, but you might suspect it. What do you do now? Do you start adding TCs? Do you just go military? Because that fish is about to run out in the center, and that's really your only advantage currently.
Exactly. I think adding TC is a must. If you think about it, your opponent is so heavy on cavalry already, and he has towers to defend as well, and you are with Dravidians, you're focusing mainly on range units, and we see a huge battle here.
Bringing the pikemen, I believe. I think he's bringing the pikemen from the south. So I think Tato is trying to snipe all the range units and then bring in reinforcements here. And here come the pikemen. They are going to be in time to save some of the crossbows, and now Hera needs to retreat from that wood line, but Hera went on stone so early and got these towers up, so now he kind of has defense against the range units. He's just done everything perfectly.
Exactly, and that's the biggest weakness of Dravidians, is the mobility. And if your opponent is, you know, very defensive with the towers, there's really not too much things you can do here. Obviously, Tato has a very nice army on the left-hand side. Hera doing a nice market wall here, but I don't think that one is going to be too buying too much time here, as there is a palisade wall, and we will see a huge engagement in the moment.
And the key here is Tato's going to be trying to snipe those archers. I think Hera can kind of bait those archers to make the skirms come into his scouts, like we've seen so far in this game. Pikemen are going to do good against the light cap, but +2 is coming in, and crossbows coming in too. So Tato is only here for a limited time. I think at the back of Tato's base, he's adding in, is it a market or a university market? And then he added in a siege workshop a little bit further forward on the left side. Oh, it's a university. Ah.
We see 1 TC all in from Tato. So he really wants to make something happen. And in those situations, you never want to lose army, because like your entire strategy is based on that. And now we see the engagement, and Hera has a very nice surrounding here.
It's just not enough pikemen.
No.
And there's +2 on these light cav, and that army is all going to die. And the question is, where are the reinforcements here from Tato? We're going to watch the numbers fall. Apparently, he still has 7 crossbows and 8 pikemen left over. Also has ballistics, but Hera has 16 light cav, bro. And he's got 30 on food.
Look at the food.
Oh,
for
my goodness.
Tato. He has 1 on food.
1 on food?
1 on food, and he wants to go pikemen to counter the cavalry, obviously. It isn't going to happen.
Tato might be able to find some value over there on that gold. I don't think he sees it with his crossbows, but the light cav... Oh, Hera's brought them all the way around the edge of the map. He's going to try for another flank here.
Oh, and he will jump onto that army, and he just has way too much army, right? Obviously, light cav is not the best against pikemen, but at one point it's also all about the masses, and we will see the light cav completely shredding the entire army here. And Hera is going to feel very, very good with the overall situation. And currently, Tato, only 4 on food. So he's really, really struggling right now with the overall balancing of his economy. It will take some time for him to get the food economy going with the farms, adding a second TC right now. And that TC is vital for him, because that area there is so exposed by him.
I swear, I never want to be in a position where I'm playing Hera, because, you know, the most frustrating games are the ones where you lose and you're just like, I don't know what else I could have done, you know? And that's what it feels like when you're watching someone play Hera in this peak form. I know you played him yesterday, where he's just impossible to kill, and he just suddenly has economy. His macro is so good behind it, adding farms, especially going out for the dock at the appropriate time, staying in feudal age for like 10 minutes longer to keep that mass up, and then pulling himself into a position where Tato is suddenly the massive underdog in this game, and Hera's at the back here with Knights, harassing these farms, wide open here. Not a tower in sight, not a TC in sight at the back here for Tato, and he's going to have to run away as he continues to try and push forward.
Yeah, and now those archers, they have botkin as well. I think this fight should be overall okay-ish for Tato, but yeah, it looks like, you know, with the micro Hera is doing right now, he will clean that army up, and then all of a sudden we see the army advantage for Hera, 88 population versus 70, and Tato is losing more and more ground on the map, 73 economy units against 59, and look at that exposed area here.
It's wide open there. I think there's only 1 turtle left. Tato took all of the fish, or all of the turtles in the center, all of that free food, and now he's going to have to start farming. Still producing pikemen, still producing crossbows. Only 2 barracks, only 2 ranges, though. And Hera even has more fish on the way. He's got crossbow, he's got knights, he still has some light cav left over, and he's in the middle of Tato's economy. Tato doesn't want to give this up. It's obviously the second home map he would have lost. He has theoretically the better Civ here. He had control over the most important resource, hypothetically, on this map. He doesn't want to give up the 3rd loss in a row, but at this point, it just seems inevitable.
Exactly. And there is so, if we look at the work efficiency for Tato, it's very low, right? We're around 30% here, and it's just so much idle time Hera is causing to Tato. Hera on the other side, a lot of fish, adding the third TC, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's the third one. No, it's the second one, right? Yeah, the second one. But yeah, his economy is just so good, and I think he will heavily play Knight Crossbow. He's totally fine with that. And Tato, he needs, like, he has improved his food economy, so that is very good. And he is, to a certain degree, stabilizing. 17 army against 17. He's expanding on the right-hand side, so that is very good for Tato. But if you look at the score, you know, Hera, I feel like it's growing more and more. So yeah, I think we will reach a point where it's equal, but Tato has to really work very, very hard for that.
And once Hera gets a castle up, he can start mixing in Ehrenby as well,
Yeah.
which could be a pretty good option, if only for the mobility, to start hitting the back of Tato's base. And I know Hera likes that unit. If you get more than like 15 of them,
Yeah.
it'll be very deadly. I think this might end before we get to that point, but Hera has enough stone for a castle currently. Tato's still really struggling. He's been trying to snipe the crossbows all game while his pikes engage against the knights, but Hera's just been tossing in the cavalry. He knows he has a much better eco, he can keep up production, and he's sacrificing units here against their theoretical counter.
Yep.
Now, Tato has gotten himself up to 64 villagers. Hera's at 69, but Hera has 13 fishing ships to accompany that, and we were talking about the food economy this entire time. Tato is at 19 on food, which is where Hera was 20 minutes ago in this game.
Yeah, and he sees the TC there as well, and that one is extremely exposed here. And we see something from Hera now which completely annihilates all Tato is going for right now. We see the Siege Workshop.
Yep.
And that is exactly the building you want to have against the crossbow pikeman combination. And Dave, you know, in my history, I've played a couple of games against Hera where he's utilizing the siege against me. Gotta tell you, it was not the nicest spot to be in.
It's a pretty frustrating experience, isn't it? And I was going to say, like, does Hera go forward with this castle? But actually, Hera has enough stone to attempt a forward castle. If that doesn't work, he can put another one defensively.
Yeah.
So he's got, and there we go. There's the kind of middle ground, right? It kind of ranges that TC. It is definitely forward. Could be a lot more aggressive than that, but obviously Tato has this army here. And I think once the Mangonel is out, it's going to really help Hera make sure that this castle goes up 100%. I think Tato is in a position where he just needs to deny this. If he doesn't deny this, the game is over.
I agree. So this moment right now is going to be the most important one in this game. We see the Mangonel come in and the Knights charging into that, and Tato is forced to retreat here. There is no way he can stop this castle.
He goes for another town center.
Yeah.
He goes for another town center. He thinks the only way I can get back in this is if I just keep taking trades, maybe boom up my eco behind, maybe get to Halb or something in Imperial Age and try and push him back. Burmese don't have the greatest late game of all time. Tato taking a decent-ish fight here, but that's a big shot from the Mangonel.
And Tato, he's forced to tap out of this one, Dave. Like, there is no way he can stop this overall mass of army from Hera. And look at Hera's face. He is satisfied with himself. He is very comfortable.
Winning with Burmese.
Winning with Burmese. And it was kind of a throwaway pick, right? Like, he didn't really prioritize that one. I think it was his last pick in his draft.
It was his last pick. Goths was the last pick from Tato, and Burmese was the last pick from Hera. Yeah. And we've seen both of them in a semi-final. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
The insane thing for me is just Hera's on peak form. Like, Hera...
I felt it yesterday.
It's unbeatable. Tato maybe made 4 too many men-at-arms there, and Hera's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And he gave him all of that food in the center.
Exactly. And you know, at the moment where Tato was charging onto the main gold on the left-hand side, early stages of the game, I was like, Hera has 2 scouts or 1 scout. He doesn't have fletching on his 2 archers.
7 on food, 40 food in the bag, no villager in the queue.
Yeah, Tato had fletching already. Like, everything on the middle, like everything what I learned from Age of Empires, everything didn't work. Like, you have the swordfish in the middle, there is no way you lose this game. But Hera made it work. And, you know, it's just phenomenal. Like, he plays his stuff. He has his farms, gets his economy, independent of the map, and he showed that this game as well.
I think that trap, too, where he went for the tower and then he trapped in the 2 archers and the skirmish.
Yep. Super
and then
important.
He managed to kill the men-at-arms around his tower with only losing 2 villagers.
Yep.
He lost 2 vills, but he completely cleared all the momentum from Tato. Tato had to go back, rebuild. That gave Hera time to add, like, at that point he was on 3 farms or something like that. We look back a minute later, he's on 12.
Yep.
Right? We look back another minute later, he's on 20.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just how fast he does it, right? And every time you see him streaming, for example, and playing the casual rank games, it's like so fast with the farming. Like, if he's 60 wood, he places it right away, right? And that boosts his castle age timing. and it's just so beautiful to watch him play because you feel like, you know, he's a very, very good player and not doing a lot of mistakes. So that's
Things
just
that Tato could have done differently there. You think like, do you
yeah.
wall up your base to keep yourself secure and then go forward a little bit more, or?
The biggest issue I saw in that was that Tato committed too much onto the man-at-arms. I think he should have added a second archer range and then have the mix of skirm archers.
Yeah.
What can you do that against that? There's no
And
way.
then some spearmen just
no
in
way.
front for the
Exactly.
scouts.
Exactly. Like there's no way. And your castle age time is going to be so much faster as well. You don't really have to take care of your base because you will force so much pressure on your opponent. He will not even have the time to think about counterattacks, right? So I think that's where it went a little bit downside for Tato. But also got to say, like, it's just against most players, Tato would have won.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. But
I mean, Hera saw an opportunity. He took it.
Yeah.
All in scouts with the archers behind. He didn't lose a single archer in his initial mass either.
No.
I think Hera just keeping those alive and then tossing the scouts in because he knew he could make more of them was fantastic. But it is a 3-0 so far for Hera. We're hoping that Tato can take his final home map here, Frigid Lake, and he certainly has better civilizations theoretically than what Hera has. Hera has Persians. Maybe Burgundians you could make an argument for on this map, potentially, if you want to kind of wall up and play the eco game.
possible.
Lithuanians as well for Tato. Japanese are good hybrid map civ.
Yep.
There is potential.
Yeah. Civs like Italians, Byzantines, Lithuanians, I would rate as the top 3 civilizations, maybe also Khmer on Frigid Lake. Persians, I see the argument, but I've been also discussing a lot with the GL guys, and what I struggle with as Persians is what is your composition in Imperial Age?
Yep.
Because most of the time, Frigid Lake goes into that stage, right? And of course,
Like
just
hand
flash
cannon halb or like cavalier halb, or it's something really weird, right? You don't want to go in the crossbows. Anyway, it's been confirmed that the next map is actually Gold Rush.
Gold Rush.
So we can start talking about Gold Rush civs. Poles popular on Gold Rush, Tatars, Aztecs as well, Burgundians. So lots of good civs there for Hera. And then we look over at Tato's side, and we're kind of questioning where he's going with this one, because Hera to me has like 3 better civs specifically for Gold Rush than what Tato has available.
Hallelujah. When I see Gold Rush and see Poles, it's not going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, Poles are extremely thriving on Gold Rush because they have so much utility handed to them as a civilization, which is so strong on that map, right? They are so versatile, they can do anything they want, and they have this huge economy bonus from the farms, from the folwark. So let's see. I mean, I'm pretty sure we will see Poles from Hera on Gold Rush, maybe Hindustanis for Tato. Let's see. Oh, Dave, and that's exactly why
That's
I'm
why
here.
you're here. That's why he's here, folks. A dream hack. We've got Jordan. We flew him all the way from Germany to be here in Hannover, Germany. But we've got Poles from Hera and we've got Hindustanis from Tato. Now this Gold Rush, even though the gold is usually pretty far forward, is a very defensive map. And look at the map that Hera has gotten himself here, Jordan. Is that woodline legal? Is that legal at the back there? What on earth?
I have not seen this in the editor's response.
I haven't either.
Like, what is this? This has more wood than Black Forest. Crazy stuff. But yeah, Hera is going to be very happy with that spawn for sure. I mean, Tatos is not bad either.
Yeah, he's got plenty of wood options,
Yeah.
especially if he walls on the right-hand side. He can secure himself a lot of wood, but it's just a lot easier
for sure
for Hera to feel comfortable there. Golds always spawn at the front, at least one of them, and your base is wide open there. But players will usually choose to wall. Now, I think Tato is going to have to be a little bit more aggressive here for all the reasons you stated with poles.
Yep.
You don't want to let them boom up, even if you take the center. The poles do have more gold available to them technically from the stones as well.
Yep.
And they can kind of build themselves to a position where they can start pushing out with those Cavalier. It can get really, really deadly. Or they can play in the Arbalest, or they can play in the Obuk. I think the danger poles against Hindustanis is you force the Hindustanis off the camels early, and then you hit them with the Cavalier before they have time to mass.
Exactly. So, kind of like Viper played it against me in the qualifiers. I was Gujaras and he was Poles, and he started off with a little bit of pikemen, Obuch, and then he added the cavalry, right? And it's very hard to fight against the combination, and the thing which makes it so scary is that Poles are just so strong in terms of their economy, and they can afford to make a lot of transitions. And that's, you know, that's the scary part about them. But Hindustanis, on the other side, I would rate as one of the best civilizations in the game as well, especially on those maps. So I think Tato picked it as first pick, so you know, it's all or nothing for him right now. And overall, Dave, which civ would you prefer here in on Gold Rush?
I think I'd prefer Poles.
Poles?
I think if Hindustanis still had help, I would prefer them.
Okay, yeah.
But I think, like, I've said it so many times, and I'm beginning to feel like a broken record. I think taking Halb away from Hindustanis was such a good balance change.
Yeah.
Because anti-cavalry, you still look at their camels and you're thinking, okay, they have an anti-cavalry option, but it's so slow to get back into it, right? Halb is such a good, quick, cheap transition.
Super cheap.
And camels just take so much time to get rolling. Also, we have to mention that both these civs were nerfed in the previous patch. So Poles, they now only mine 33% gold from all the stone that they mine, which I think makes it harder for them to defend initially. And then Hindustanis, I believe their camel attack rate went down to 20% instead of 30.
I think Gujaras was nerfed, no?
That was the bonus, but Hindustanis also went
Also?
down,
Okay, yeah, could be.
Because Gujaras was the bonus damage, but Hindustanis was the attack.
Ah, okay.
Wait, this is why we need Ornlu up here.
He knows everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And me as a player who you would think knows everything as well, and not so
Oh,
much.
you know even less than I do.
I was like, I feel into the game and just let them fight. But yeah, overall we see Hera walling early, and you know, he's not really walling a lot. Like, very effective. He has a little bit of space initially. Oh, Tato almost successful here with the quick one. But yeah, he has initial space for the Folwarks. I'm sure he's going to expand to the northern side. And he plays super greedy here. Not a military building except a barrack. So he wants to chill. Tato, fortunately for him, he sees that.
And he has gotten inside too, which is going to be kind of annoying.
Yeah, he has to, like, he will have the full information handed to him to react properly to that. But Dave, how do you react to that? That's the question I'm asking myself.
I want to see how Tato's reacting to that wood line at the back from just see, like, who did he pay for this one? Oh my goodness, Hera's just going to defend with Spearman there, and he kind of only went up to Feudal Age. Like, usually you would hang out in Dark Age a lot longer if you were going for an FC type of play like this. As Hera manages to trap Tato's scout inside, that's kind of big. Tato's going to be annoying there, but no further information from him. I think he only went up so he could get Horse Scholar, honestly.
Yeah.
So his farms would have more value.
Yeah, and the thing about Poles is they are going to be able to up so fast. Nice move here by Tato. Was able to hit on the hill, but
avoid the spear too.
It's going to be very tough for Tato to keep everything on track all the time, and we will see a little bit of a pressure from Tato, adding 2 spearmen there, knocking onto the walls very soon, and we see the archer range now as well from Hera. Very surprising by that. Did he, or does he have the knowledge about the archer range from Tato? That's what I'm wondering right now. I think he will want to confirm that.
I'm wondering if, like, a forward position would help Tato here, because the stone is there from Hera. Hera has the gold in the back, but the other stone is way off to the side, and Tato knows exactly what Hera has control over.
Yeah.
I feel like tower rushing Poles or getting a forward tower on Poles is not always the smartest thing, but he doesn't have any stone to take.
He doesn't have stone, so in theory it would be good. The issue which could happen is that Hera goes to Castle Age way faster and pushes it back
That
with Siege
forward
Workshop.
needs to go over to the side just a little. Come on, just one. Little bit more. A little bit more there.
Oh, yeah, is that fine? It is fine,
Tiles?
right?
I think that's okay.
But the house is on the way, no?
No, the house is fine. I think that's fine. Hera knows.
Hera knows?
Hera knows.
Hera knows.
He's a farm guy. Big farm guy.
Hera knows.
All right, so Scout from Hera escaping from his base. Tato Scout going down, so he has no vision on any potential army coming forward, but he knows the archer range just went up, so he knows there's probably nothing from Hera. Hera can track the archers coming across from Tato, and Tato is already getting wheelbarrow here. So it's a very interesting wheelbarrow timing for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally, but obviously, I think objectively it's very hard to say if it's right or wrong, but I personally don't like to go for wheelbarrow that fast. I don't think it's
Might have
the
been
most
house or
efficient.
something.
Yeah, that could also be the reason for that. And you know, Hera, he will be very comfortable with the position he is in right now. He is on the way to gold now, so it will not take too much more time for him to reach or click up to Castle Age. And the question is, for me, Dave, will he add stables to get map control, or will he go completely defensive, adding 2 extra TCs at the back and just take it from there? I think for
he's
him,
gonna
he
adapt.
should. I think you need to contest the middle and add stables, but let's see what he's going to go for.
Because he has his scout alive, and he's kind of exploring what Tato is doing. He also has the 3 skirmishers to kind of push away these archers initially.
Yep.
Might use those. If he kills the archers, he might set them up in front of Tato's base and get a better idea of what's coming at him. I think Hera's going to try and toe that line, right? So he's going to add some eco initially in Castle Age, and then if he needs to, he'll add a single stable or something like that.
Yeah, so very adaptive, and I like that move by Hera. Like, he takes a little risk, yes, but I think he's so experienced that he's like, okay, there's no way that Tato has added a stable to push back eventual come out with the skirms, so I'm safe to move out here. And now the lion's even. Is that a lion?
It's a snow leopard.
Snow leopard?
Yeah, in the desert.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah.
Or okay.
No, it's not. Okay, well, we won't get into a zoological discussion.
No.
Classifications and whatnot. But Hera is up to the Castle Age before Tato, and without selling a stone. Tato had to go for the market there. So Hindustanis not initially able to make the extra TCs. Feels like Tato is going to go more for like a 2-stable type of approach with a forward siege, maybe.
He will. Yep, for sure. And the thing for Hera is he spotted it, Dave. He saw the scout, or he sees the scout, and now it's kind of obvious. Okay, my opponent has a stable, and it's very likely that he wants to contest the map. So let's see how Hera responds. I mean, we talked about it. He's maybe the best defender we have in this game, and we see a second archer range. He has gold, so he is adding archers himself, and that is going to be the right decision in terms of defense.
Yep. It will be tough, though, for Hera to find... If Tato keeps up pressure here and Hera's camping with the archers, going to be tough for him to find space to place the full works down, right?
Oh, yeah.
That wood line is great at the back, but it's kind of taking up some real estate now, right? So what goes around comes around at the end of the day, and Hera, if he's pushed in here by Tato, it's hard to fit in a 3rd full work to really get his eco rolling, but with 2 full works, he should have enough food for now. Immediately goes for the crossbow upgrade, goes for Bodkin. He should theoretically be able to defend. Tato, I think, is thinking about a forward siege workshop here.
He is, and the issue for Tato is that he's later to Castle Age than his opponent. And
don't drag these archers over to that villager.
If Hera goes to the right-hand side, he will see the house. So he will assume there is something happening.
Does he assume it's on the left or the right, though?
I would assume it's on the left. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, because the house is over there.
Yeah.
And Hera just goes right past that house. And he's looking for it. He splits one crossbow away, but it's not going to get to that villager in time. The siege will be up. However, he will be forewarned about the siege workshop. No surprises here for Hera. And he's now got a TC going up on that stone on the right side, kind of gaining himself more map position for those potential full works over there. Tato is going to have a rough time. We were talking about how difficult it is to play against Poles, and Hera hasn't taken any eco damage yet.
Yep. This is so tough for Tato now, and the fact that Hera split up his crossbow just to be safe makes his game so much easier now, and Tato is even forced to build a siege workshop defensively. Oh god. So if Hera adds 1 stable now, couple of nights, he's completely safe, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. Yeah, exactly. So the siege workshop will completely be annihilated by the crossbow and knights.
The level that Hera's playing at right now actually kind of terrifies me, because I feel like we're never going to have any competitive sets if he just keeps playing like this.
Yeah, like I felt like that yesterday.
But you still managed to take 2 games off of him. So.
Yeah, but I played the best I could, right? And still, he was beating me very easily in the 3 games, so it's very scary. And yeah, Hera, wheelbar now in as well. And we know that Hera and Larry, they excel with the crossbow micro against mangonels, against scorpions, whatever, right? So we will see some dancing. And you know, Dave, I've been in the position which Tato is in right now, and you have the mangonel and you feel like, okay, I have the counter.
Yeah.
But then you play and you feel he has the counter to you.
Yeah. Especially against a player like Hera. I feel like the key to playing against a guy like Hera who micros against mangonels so well with crossbows you have to go back. He's anticipating pro moves. You got to be really bad with your Mangonel micro, and you're going to hit him by accident.
Yeah. That's why DauT sometimes does
Yeah,
very
like
well
when DauT
against
dodges a
him.
Mangonel shot by not moving. You know, the no looker. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's obviously good in that regard, but
Nice attack. Oh,
look, he's watching.
And he's going to save the crossbow, bro.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
And that is also the jumping from the TC and moving in again. I feel like Hera was the very first person to really make that one popular, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he
right?
does that quite a bit, especially with the positioning, right? He really uses that garrison.
Yeah. I kind of learned it from him, right? And even with skirms, it's just super annoying as the pushing player because it's something you always have to think about. And obviously defending is always easier than playing offensive, in my opinion.
Yep.
Because you know exactly when you have to pay attention to the important things like Mangonel fight, for example. And Dave, we will see a huge engagement here, and the two knights are going to be so
Scorpion
valuable.
pincer there from Tato, having a Scorpion on the right and a Scorpion on the left, and he actually gets a ton of damage against those crossbows. So good engagements there from Tato. He's trying to now attack ground uphill. This is going to be tough. Hera getting smoked by a Mangonel shot. Tato also getting some value against these other crossbows and has a repair villager forward, and now he's killing more crossbows from Hera. So Hera getting maybe a little bit overconfident there, and Tato with some good defense around this siege, especially with the camel positioning.
Yeah. That fight was not as ideal as Hera wanted, but the most important thing for Hera here is to kind of stop the aggression in the front, and we see more and more knights coming, 2 TCs in total for both players, and Hera nicely for him camping the monastery. Monks obviously is going to be something which could be annoying, but now husbandry coming in, we see the armor upgrade, scalebounding armor coming in. And Tato doesn't have a lot of camels here, so in theory Hera could even charge against those camels here.
Yeah, and Hera's got 5 knights. I feel like regardless of how many knights he loses here, he's going to take out the Mangonels. It's just whether Tato can kill the crossbows on the way. That's another good attack round there. Hera dodging with only 5 of those crossbows left, and he's going to join him up with his other crossbow army, but now Tato's lost all momentum. Tato did end up buying back 100 stone for that second TC, and now he's adding the third TC, and he's got villagers on stone here too. He does have a unit that pretty much counters the crossbow, but the crossbow is not the end game here for Hera. The end game is definitely getting into those Cavalier.
Exactly. And the crossbows, I mean, both have Arbalest with Thumbring, right? The only thing they're missing is the last armor upgrade. So Hera's totally fine with the composition he's going for. And I feel like Tato here now with the 62 villages, 52 villages against the 64, he is really, wow.
Tato calls it. He feels like there's no hope.
What have we witnessed?
Like absolute domination from Hera.
What have
honestly, a 4-0 Hera against Tato. It feels like the streak might be back for Hera, especially after Tato coming off a grand finals win at our last LAN event. And I know that the scoreline is disappointing, especially for Tato, but like, what can you do against that?
Yeah.
Like he looked at that game, maybe he was still in it, maybe he had a slight percentage, but he remembers the games before that and how crazy Hera was playing.
Yeah, and it's not like Tato underperformed or something like that.
Yeah.
He played very sharp, very well as well, but it felt like everything Hera did was good counter to what Tato threw at him, and that's why we see a very one-sided score, which obviously is always tough in the semifinal, right? You don't want to ever lose to 0, but that's just something which can happen, because on the level we're playing right now is every single mistake is going to be punished no matter what.
Yep.
And if that happens 4 times in a row, we have the 4-0.
Tato, he put in a good effort. He was insane, especially early against Villese yesterday. And we thought we were going to see like an amazing set here, but Hera just showed up on another level. And you can see him up on the stage there. I'm sure he's surprised with the 4-0 scoreline. I mean, that's just crazy. He told me he wasn't putting as much pressure on himself as he was for past tournaments. He seemed very relaxed. He was very happy to be here. He's like, oh, this is like the best event ever. I think because emotionally, he wasn't beating himself up as much. And now there's added pressure of being in the finals. But if you play like that, I don't think there's any player in the world that can beat that level of Hera. That's just insane.
The scary thing is, I think Hera has potential to grow even further in terms of his mental strength.
Yep.
And he is capable of doing that.
Yep.
Like in terms of mechanics, in terms of understanding the game, in terms of strategy, in terms of execution, like he is on the top.
And
like
we actually, sorry, Jordan, I hate to interrupt, but we do have Hera here with Ellie, so we're going to shift over to the interview. Ellie, take it away.
Thanks so much, Dave. Hera, first and foremost, congratulations. What strong performance you just displayed here. Talk us through that last game. Were you feeling control the whole time?
Thank you very much. The last game was great because I had poles and I felt really confident with that Civ. Although that being said, he did have Hindustani, so it's kind of a tricky matchup. My map was great, honestly, and that's what led me to play pretty defensive and then just read the game from there.
Well, excellent decision making. You took some really great fights. I want to talk about Sheepfold, the first game, and Tato's lame. I think that was the first one of the tournament. What were your thoughts there?
Honestly, I was looking for my 2 sheep, so I was running my scout away, and then I saw my bull running. I was like, "Yo, like I need that one first." So I was fortunate to be in the area, and I was able to stop that. Kind of unlucky for him, but yeah, we take those.
And Northern Isles was also an interesting pick from Tato with Goths. Were you expecting that a landing quite early?
Like, the problem with doing what he did there with Goths is that as soon as you pick Goths, I'm not playing a regular game. I'm just going to look and see what he's doing. So I was not satisfied until I scouted my whole map, 3-4 times. I kept running my scout around. Even after Dark Age, Feudal Age, I kept checking what he's up to because I wanted to make sure that there's no surprises because he has to do something with a weaker Civ.
And in the third game on Fish and Fish, Tato had a really strong position with Dravidians, and then it seemed that it slipped away from him. Where do you think he went wrong, or what do you think you did that really brought it back for you?
That was actually my throwaway map, so I should have lost that game. He did a nice thing in the draft to ban Mongols, which was my pick on that map. So I kind of YOLO'd it with Burmese. I told you guys Burmese were underrated. But yeah, I think that was a little bit of fortune for me. I somehow held the early pressure. But I think his biggest mistake was not scouting my fishing ships. I think had he killed my fish at any point, I would just pretty much lose the game.
So yesterday we had a 3-2 victory for you. I don't think it was as solid a victory as you'd hoped for. Now coming off of 4-0, how do you feel entering the finals?
I feel great. To be honest, I found myself gaining confidence as the games played, and as I won game after game, I just felt like I was playing better and better. And I think that last game was kind of my level when I play on stream and when I just play ranked games, so which is good because on LAN events usually I get nervous and stuff. So I'm happy I was playing at a solid level by the end of that series. Going to the finals, I'm going to be very confident. It's Leary versus Viper next, so I'm going to chill and watch that for now. Do you have any predictions of what we're going to see in the next semifinal? Predictions is hard, but I hope Leary wins. I think it's going to be like a six-game series probably. Well, we'll watch along with you. It's going to be a great set. Leary versus Viper. One of them will be facing off Hera in the grand final of the Grand Melee. But before that, let's take it back to the analyst desk and hear some thoughts.
Thanks a lot, Ellie. And congratulations to Hera making it to the finals. What a dominating performance, 4-0. I think that was actually faster than our best of fives yesterday.
In every single best of five, right? And we had like some other four map games there as well. It's just crazy how dominant Hera was.
Yeah, just some next level play, huh, Ornlu?
It's like we keep on saying, when Hera is playing at full cylinders, when he's allowed to do what he wants, he is just going to be steamrolling everybody. And when he's winning, it's looking super dominant. We even saw that in the head-to-head statistics before. When Hera wins, he tends to win pretty hard. And, well, Hera won, and he won pretty hard.
Yeah, I guess that is a good point. We do have some highlights that we're going to go ahead and throw on screen. But, I mean, no one was really expecting Tato to go down so easily, right?
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing there for all Tato fans there for sure. Especially game one. Obviously the lane didn't go too well, and then Hera could play his dream game. Go for knights, go for crossbow, and he basically gets the chance to dictate the engagement. Monks mainly defensive unit at that point, and then Hera can use the mobility to perfection.
Yeah, just able to go for those really huge knight attacks. You don't have the mobility with Incas, you're just missing that cavalry component, and then the monks is really saying, just not something you can ever cross the map with, and Hera able to take game number 1 in pretty dominant fashion. Game 2 on Northern Isles, we had the interesting goth pick there from Tato, but Hera, like he said in the interview, just going for that scouting, making sure he knew exactly what was coming, and from there, he does have the stronger Civ.
Yeah, it feels like the Drush had some potential. Obviously, Tato, unfortunately, landing not in the direction of the boars, couldn't really go for the deer. But then we still felt like the militia could have gone for the dock, because you can't wall around the dock area, and you can have the hill advantage there. Maybe some guaranteed damage over the house that he went for.
Yeah, it's a really tricky situation for sure. Then, of course, the fish and fish game. This one was definitely a heartbreaker for Tato. Just was in Castle Age so much longer than his opponent, but never finding those fishing ships. You can see on the minimap all of those little gray dots getting taken away by Hera, having the food eco he needs to make the knights. And at that point, it's just really difficult for Tato, who ran out of food in the middle, to even compete.
Probably the biggest comeback we have seen this tournament so far. That one looked so incredibly over. Tato was ahead. He was in the face of Hera, needed to build the defensive tower. Not a lot of food income there, and still managed to get the comeback with mass scouts.
Yeah, then, of course, our final game here was on Gold Rush. We had Hera playing pretty defensive, going for the TCs much faster than did Tato. And it was just really difficult for Tato to ever find any damage. That defense from Hera was just so spot on.
Just the eco is crazy, right? 2 eco bonuses there with the better farms, with the extra gold generated if you go onto stone. Just puts Hindustanis in the position where they need to take some risk, needed to go for that mangonel aggression, and didn't really pay off. And Hera, the smiley one.
And with good reason. I think a 4-0 in a huge tournament semifinal. That's a good reason to smile, if any.
Yeah.
You know, this is something you guys have been talking about a lot this weekend backstage. Is like, when Hera's on, he's on, and it doesn't seem like you can beat him. I heard Jordan say that over there as well. Is he in the prime position to just win this tournament?
Depends on how the second semifinal goes.
Yeah?
If it's a neutral game, I would say, and like they're taking games off each other, Hera is my favorite. If it's another 4-0 in the other semifinals, and then 2 Titans clashing in the finals tomorrow.
Oh, wow. That would really be something else. Guys, we are going to go to a little commercial break here, but the Grand Melee will be back soon with some more Age of Empires.